Hi guys, hope the audio is coming. Extremely sorry for being late. I have a nice funny excuse for it. Let me just know if the audio is coming fine, etc. ये सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयड होने का यही प्रॉब्लम है कि द अर्जेंट वर्क्स नेवर फिनिश. ओके, सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयड फ्रीलांसर्स. Hello. Yeah, audio seems to be fine. Okay, so I saw a meme once that I didn't want to work 9 to 5. That's why I became an artist. So now I work 24/7. That's the problem with my life. That's why I can't keep up continuous schedules for anything, for any live stream or anything. Audio is fine. Okay, thanks a lot. So yeah, a lot of funny things happened. Tomorrow तो हनुमान जयंती इज ऑलरेडी गोइंग टू हैपन. उसके लिए पैरामिलिट्री फोर्स आएगा एंड उसके ऊपर से कुर्मियों ने एक्स्ट्रा रिजर्वेशन के लिए एंड शेड्यूल्ड ट्राइब का दर्जा पाने के लिए सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को प्रेशर देने के लिए रेलवे रोक के रखा है पूरे बंगाल में. सब जगह का ट्रेन फैन कैंसिल हो रहा है कल. और एक मज़ेदार चीज़ है कि एवरी टाइम आई सी दैट एवरी टाइम सम एनी डे दैट BJP does something significant to get footage, the next day the Kurmi revolution and rebellion starts, and they always sit on railway tracks only because they know obviously their demand is from the central government. So ठीक ही है, but there might be obviously some support for Trinamool, and I don't hate them personally as a group because everyone is getting benefits of reservation. So why should they all of a sudden be free market Thomas Sowell thinkers? They will obviously ask for their demands as well. So all I don't understand is why isn't BJP joining in their ranks and saying that yes, we are with you and we will give you that reservation etc. and we are with you and let us join in your protest. Protest तो नहीं कर पाएंगे क्योंकि सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के खिलाफ है. So they should be taking some part in that. And yes, हनुमान तेलुगु फिल्म का हनुमान चालीसा वीडियो आया. Yes, I saw it. And the song is pretty great. The arrangement is pretty great. Mamta is trying to bring caste politics in West Bengal. Probably, yeah. That is what I was saying to a friend of mine, that I was looking for the religion-wise breakdown of all party votes, right? And I had to do the math myself. Usse I got that Trinamool's total voting share में Hindu share is probably less than 20%. कहीं पे भी रिलीजन ब्रेकडाउन नहीं मिला. एक स्क्रोल या वायर का आर्टिकल मिला जिसमें ऑलमोस्ट 10-12 तरीके का चार्ट दिखाया है कि 2021 बंगाल पोल्स में क्या क्या ब्रेकअप्स है. उसमें भी रिलीजियस ब्रेकडाउन नहीं है, कास्ट ब्रेकडाउन दिया है. यही है वो स्टुपिडिटी के एक ही मॉडल है, हमको अच्छा लगा तो सब जगह पे थोप दो. बंगाल में कास्ट बेस्ड वोटिंग नहीं होता है. इट्स इररिलेवेंट हियर. तो बंगाल का कास्ट ब्रेकडाउन देख के मैं क्या करूँ? बंगाल में रिलीजियन ब्रेकडाउन इज मोर इंटरेस्टिंग. Even if you are commie, even if you are Muslim, even if you are Hindu, in any way, religion-wise voting breakup in Bengal is relevant today, not caste breakups. वो लोग caste breakup दे रहे थे. And now Mamta is trying to play the Kurmi card. And वैसे तृणमूल का भी हनुमान जयंती निकल गया ऑलरेडी आज. उसमें भी डीजे विजय बज रहा था. Bengal is not a caste state yet. Yes, she will try to do anything to divide Bengali Hindu. Yes. He will do it. Good prediction. अभी तक उतने अच्छी तरह से खेल नहीं पाई है वो, मगर they will do it. And the upper caste anyway, majorly urban upper caste votes for Trinamool only. Okay, so guys, today we are going to start the Madhe Sahaba agitation, which almost broke up the Muslim League unity, broke up the entire Muslim community. Sunni and Shia riots were taking place all over the country. Muslim League was mute spectators. And third parties were coming in and saying, no, see, you have to be united. Do not fight amongst yourselves. And whoever will fight, I will kill them personally. That's the message that was being given by the Khaksars or कुछ नाम था, जो कि पंजाब से आए थे. So that's how we will understand how Muslim League, who was on the verge of becoming completely irrelevant in 37 to 39, suddenly in 1946 helps create a different nation for themselves altogether. Okay, let's see what Dr. Dhulipala has discovered. The problem between the Lucknow Shias and Sunnis began in 1905 over annual Tazia processions during Muharram to commemorate the martyrdom of Imam Hussein at Karbala. Till that year, Shias and Sunnis went together in common processions, taking their taziyas to one main Karbala in a place called Talkatora, where they were buried. Over the next few years, temporary fairs, Mela Vela, sprang up in the areas adjoining the road to the quote-unquote Karbala on the 3 main days of the Tazia processions, namely Ashra, or the 10th day of Muharram and the anniversary of Karbala, Chilam, or the 40th day thereafter, and the 21st day of Ramzan, the anniversary of Imam Ali's birth. As the government's gazette noted about these fairs, that shops and booths came to be set up and there were amusements such as swings and merry-go-rounds. Mela laga hai. It appears further that women of the town had begun not only to frequent the route of the taziyas but to set up tents on the fairground where they received visitors. The Shias took exceptions to these practices, which they felt denigrated the solemnity of these religious occasions, which were predominantly for mourning. This makes sense. This is a pretty interesting idea. They are saying ये तो आनंद का celebration नहीं है, ये तो दुख करने का event है. हमें तो दुख हो रहा है, ये जो चीज़ हुआ, we are remembering a sad incident that happened. Why are you guys celebrating? That was the Shia argument. They therefore petitioned the Lucknow district magistrate to check these practices. Check मतलब थोड़ा कम करो, कुछ लगाम टानो इसमें. And to disallow anything, prohibit anything which went against the character of these occasions. Yeah, character. And see, the problem is the vague term. Vague term जो है character कैसे लगाम टाने का कोई district magistrate. Hardcore policy demands होना चाहिए. ये demand गया कि disallow anything that goes against the character of the occasions. अभी district magistrate को तो पूरा इस्लाम का history पढ़ना पड़ेगा. तो vague demand से कुछ नहीं होता है. Okay. Next page, कहाँ गया? In response, stringent rules sympathetic to Shia demands were put into place for the Ashra procession of 1906 by the Lucknow district administration. अब घोटाला शुरू. इनको तो पता नहीं है कि कैसे handle करें. The Sunnis objected to the new rules, claiming that unlike the Shias, they regarded the processions as celebrations in honor of an Islamic hero and not as occasions for mourning. Lo, ab kya karoge? The dispute between the two sides was temporarily settled in 1906 with the Lucknow district administration granting a separate site for Sunnis to bury their Karbala. अच्छा, तो कोर में जाके प्रॉब्लम का सोल्यूशन नहीं, बैंडेड लगाया गया. इंटरेस्टिंग, जो कि आज भी होता है. ओके, the Sunnis objected to the Sunnis, however, were now determined to give their processions a character that was distinct to that of the Shia processions. अब हम कितने different है वो दिखाने का competition शुरू. Verses at the time known as Chariyari were recited during the Sunni processions. These verses were in praise of the first 4 caliphs who were portrayed as friends of the Prophet as well as friends of each other. Acha. Since some of these verses, quote, were positively objectionable in that they contained abuse of Shias and of their beliefs, end quote, their recitation was found provocative by the Shias. The Shias retaliated by reciting tabarra, or abuse of the first 3 caliphs, in their own processions, since they saw them as usurpers who were hostile to the rightful Caliph Ali and his family. These developments marked a watershed in the social relations between these two sects of Islam in the UP. Serious riots broke out in 1907 and 1908 in Lucknow due to the recitation of Chariyari and Tabara by Sunni and Shia processions respectively. अच्छा, compete करने के लिए दो लोगों ने अपना recitation शुरू कर दिया और उससे और riot बढ़ गया. Responding to these developments in 1908, the provincial government set up a committee headed by T.C. Piggott, an ICS officer, who was asked to examine the whole issue, assess the claims of both parties and to make recommendations. ये क्या handle करेगा ये situation? The Piggott committee concluded that the recitation of Chariyari verses in an organized way and converting Tazia processions into Chariyari processions was an innovation since 1906. अच्छा, इसका कोई historical basis नहीं है, therefore it's not okay. That's Piggott's conclusion. Such social innovations were deemed to be at the root of civil disturbances in a combustible religious society like India, and the British, in their keenness to maintain law and order, actively discourage them. अच्छा, ये word देखो कितना interesting है. Combustible religious society like India. Combustible religious society कब बना? Medieval times के पहले combustible religious society था कभी? तो combustible religious society है, इतना तो मान लिया, ये बड़ा बात है, हम धन्य हो गए. Not surprisingly, the Pigot committee recommended prohibiting the recitation of Chariyari verses along the route of any Tazia, Alam or other Mohammedan procession or in the hearing of such a procession on 3 days of the year. देखो बैंडेड के ऊपर बैंडेड लगा दिया. अशरा, छेलम एंड द 21st डे ऑफ रमजान. ये है अपीजमेंट वालों का काम. प्रॉब्लम के कोर में कोई नहीं जाएगा, सिर्फ बैंडेड के ऊपर बैंडेड लगाओ. Vinay Singh is saying, Rohan Chatra, don't talk rubbish. Why Bengal should be broke up into 2 parts? They always win because we are so lazy that they remember consequences. Shankar, Rohan Chatra, that is okay. Interesting discussion हो रहा है, comment section में एक बार देख लेते हैं. First they will use language. Abhay Agarwal, Hindu de जीवन बहु कठिन रे. Okay, Rohan is saying she learned this language game from Stalin and DMK. Absolutely. Now she is going to use caste game which she learned from Akhilesh Yadav and Nitish Kumar and also from Dravidian politicians. That is true. Sometimes it feels hopeless to fight for Hindu cause, especially in West Bengal. Yes, it's better to split West Bengal into 2-3 parts. See, Rohan, that's in theory that's a good idea for the people in those places, right? In those particular pockets, जहाँ पे तुम 3-4 West Bengal बनाओगे. But unless you apply my idea, which was that don't let West Bengal's people come out of West Bengal, don't hire them outside. Until that suspension of that fundamental right is applied to these parts, that problem won't go away even after you break up the states. Okay, that's the problem. Are you thinking that just because BJP is in power in those places, they will forever remain in power in those small, broken up, hypothetical parts of West Bengal? Or do you think people won't go there and settle? Or do you think people won't come out and spew venom against those people? It's just a way of thinking. तुम way of thinking को change करने का सोचो instead of these, because these are also band-aids. In short term, yes, they will be safer in the next 10 years, 15 years maybe. उसके बाद same चीज जो आज वेस्ट बंगाल में हो रहा है वो वहां पे भी होगा. That is why partition didn't solve anything. No, partition could have been solved if Ambedkar's idea was applied, that complete exchange of population. Since that's not possible in a civilized world, since that's not even a practical geographical solution because of our borders, कि जो मैं बोल रहा था कुछ दिन पहले कि हर पेड़ के ऊपर तुम एक स्नाइपर बिठाओ, जो इमिग्रेंट दिखेगा वहीं पे गोली कर दो. ये सब अगर नहीं करोगे और तुम उसके लिए तुम्हारा बजट, मिलिट्री बजट और 100 गुना ज़्यादा करना पड़ेगा, ये सब अगर नहीं करोगे तो तुम्हारा इमिग्रेशन कभी भी रुकने वाला नहीं है. इंट्रा स्टेट इमिग्रेशन भी नहीं रुकेगा, कंट्री टू कंट्री का इलीगल इमिग्रेशन भी नहीं रुकेगा, एटलीस्ट इंडिया के जैसे ज्योग्राफी में. ओके, तो तुम जो what you are suggesting is only delaying the problem by 10 to 15 years, and that too for those pockets. What you are also saying then at the same time, if let's say you are a BJP person, or if a BJP person actually demands this, what they will end up saying to the BJP supporters in the parts which are going to become Muslim populated is that, okay, you don't even care about us. Then we have more choice to either not vote or vote for whoever Trinamool sends to pretend to be a great Hindutva guy. Like tomorrow Trinamool is doing a Hanuman Jayanti celebration. So they are going to try to play the Hindutva card as well. So we will be left nowhere. Okay. तो बैंडेड छोड़ दो, वुंड को हील करो. Leftists are moving to Bihar, will be destroyed if we are not good. Yeah. So unless there's a cultural ethos change, you can't prevent these things. All you can do is delay. 10-15 years later, you will face the same thing in your little broken up West Bengal pocket. Rohan, let's see what's your argument here. Where is Bengali Hindu unity? Yes, no unity. Bongs in Kolkata look down to the Bongs living in other districts. Absolutely. CPIM successfully divided Bengali Hindus by turning one section of Bengalis against the other Bongs. Yes. That's why I'm saying counter that. And जो मैं कल बोल रहा था कि बंगालीज को हायर करना बंद करो अलग दूसरे स्टेट्स में, अगर हायर कर रहे हो तो फायर करने को बोलो और उनको बोलो कि पोलाइटली बोलो प्लीज चले जाइए, घर मत दो, डोंट रेंट हाउसेस फॉर बंगालीज. Do all those things, all these matter can be solved because they will come back and be forced to make a better state for themselves. Other than that, what we are doing here with this channel and your discussions, that's the safest way to solve this problem and the longest way of obviously. हमारा way आते आते और 20 साल लग जाएगा सबको सिर्फ सिखाते सिखाते. But this is one way. Break the back of communism, the communist ethos, the leftist ethos. मुस्लिम्स का इंटेलेक्चुअल बैकअप कौन देता है? इंटेलेक्चुअल बैकअप के भरोसे ही मीडिया चलता है, प्रेस चलता है, स्कॉलरशिप तैयार होता है, डिस्कोर्स तैयार होता है, और डिस्कोर्स की वजह से बाहर से फंडिंग आता है. ये सब तोड़ने का एक ही उपाय है, कम्युनिस्ट इथोस को बदल देना, विच यू ऑलवेज से दैट यू ऑलवेज टॉक अबाउट डीकम्युनाइज बंगाल, डीकम्युनाइज बंगाल. डीकम्युनाइज बंगाल के लिए स्ट्रीट पावर नहीं चाहिए. डीकम्युनाइज बंगाल के लिए हम जो कर रहे हैं वही ठीक रास्ता है. आइदर स्टॉप हायरिंग बंगालीज आउटसाइड, आइदर डू अ सक्सेसफुल बॉयकॉट ऑफ बंगालीज एंड पैरेलली एंड और डू दिस. कम्युनिस्ट को इंटेलेक्चुअली नंगा कर दो. डोंट लेट देम हैव एनी रैलिंग पॉइंट. डोंट लेट देम हैव एनी आइडल्स. ओनली आइडल दे शुड बी लेफ्ट विथ इज कार्ल मार्क्स. कार्ल मार्क्स के अलावा जिसका भी नाम ले वो कम्युनिस्ट, हार्डकोर कम्युनिस्ट, प्रूवन कम्युनिस्ट होना चाहिए. इन लोगों का एडवांटेज क्या है कि इन्होंने श्री अरबिंदो, रविन्द्रनाथ ठाकुर, इन सब को बना दिया है एक सेक्युलर आइडल. अम्बेडकर, इन सब को, इनका सबका निकाल के जो हिंदुत्व है, और उतना नुआंस में भी जाने का जरूरत नहीं है. मत बोलो कि हाँ इन लोगों के बातों में एवोल्यूशन आया था. छोड़ दो, वो उनको निकालने दो कहाँ एवोल्यूशन हुआ था कि नहीं. तुम पूरा सीधी तरह से बोल दो कि हाँ रविन्द्रनाथ टैगोर हिंदुत्व था, श्री अरबिंदो हिंदुत्व का बात कर रहा था, शरतचंद्र चट्टोपाध्याय हिंदुत्व का बात करता था, बंकिम चंद्र चट्टोपाध्याय हिंदुत्व का बात करता था, अम्बेडकर हिंदुत्व का बात करता था. सबके सबका तुम्हारा प्रो हिंदुत्व, आज का जो हिंदुत्व नैरेटिव है, उस नैरेटिव के बेसिस पे जो कि हिंदुत्व स्टेटमेंट्स लगेगा तुमको, वो वैसा नैरेटिव मैंने जिन 5 लोगों का नाम लिया, वो 5 लोगों के हर ऑल ऑफ दोज 5 पीपल, उन सब से ऐसे नैरेटिव्स, ऐसे स्टेटमेंट्स मिल जाएंगे तुम्हें. उससे इन लोगों को नंगा कर दो. टेक अवे देयर आइडल्स. दे शुड नॉट बी एबल टू गो अराउंड टेलिंग पीपल दैट सी you don't agree with us, but Sharat Chandra agrees with us. Oh, see, you are outsider, you worship Ram. See, Bankim Chandra is such a nice guy, he says all these secular things. Don't let them have that opportunity. Break their backs intellectually, they won't be able to create discourses. They would stop doing discourses, media takes away their support. Media takes away their support, they stop getting funding. Abhinag is saying, my brother is living in Bangalore and he is kind of pissed after listening to your non-cooperation with Bengalis. Yes. अभी किसी को तो मतलब प्रॉब्लम होगा ही, अनफॉर्चुनेटली. नॉट ऑल बंगालीज आर टू बी ब्लेम्ड, बट लेट हिम ऑल्सो कंट्रीब्यूट. लेट हिम कम बैक एंड कंट्रीब्यूट टू दिस स्टेट, टू द बेटरमेंट ऑफ दिस स्टेट. क्या करे? अकाउंटेबिलिटी नहीं है, अकाउंटेबिलिटी लाना है. दिस इज द मोस्ट पीसफुल स्टेटमेंट आई कैन गिव एंड दिस इज द मोस्ट पीसफुल सोल्यूशन आई कैन गिव. उसके अलावा जो सोल्यूशन किसी के दिमाग में आएगा वो सब वायलेंट सोल्यूशन है. दिस इज ओनली पीसफुल सोल्यूशन. व्हाट कैन यू डू? Nina, in theory, what your solution for Bengal is can also be used for states like Punjab and Bihar if problems get worse there. But I still feel it's an extreme suggestion. Yeah. Nina, are you telling to me or Rohan Chatra? अभय अग्रवाल is saying Bangalore में 12 लाख बंगालियों का क्या होगा दादा आपको? आपका बैंगलोर में 12 लाख नहीं है, कर्नाटका में 12 लाख है. विश्वदीप पाल, Sharat Chandra Chattopadhyay was very much a Hindu, at least more than this Bengali generation. He understood Islam much more before us. Yes, and Sri Aurobindo as well. Take away their idols. They should be left with hardcore communists and Karl Marx. इनका जो थोड़ा बहुत आउटसाइडर सपोर्ट इन्होंने बना लिया है कि देखो जो लोग कम्युनिस्ट नहीं थे वो भी कितना अच्छा हमारे नैरेटिव में बिलीव करते थे. ये उनको बोलना बंद करवाओ. They should not have any idols. They should not have any rallying point. They should puke at hearing the name of Sri Aurobindo and Rabindranath Tagore. एक बार सिर्फ उन लोगों को बोलने दो. And let me tell you that what I'm suggesting, it has legal precedence. It's not legal precedence. It has social precedence because Bangladesh is doing the same thing. Bangladeshi intellectuals, Bangladeshi Muslims have today realized what a Hindutvavadi Rabindranath Tagore was. That's why they hate Rabindranath Tagore today. Rabindranath Tagore statues are being usurped. Bengalis are going around saying in Bangladesh that Rabindranath was a Hindutvavadi. So because they have noticed what Hindutvavadis here were saying already. So let Bengalis of Kolkata admit this. Let them say, no, Rabindranath Tagore was a bad person. Let them say Sri Aurobindo was a bad person. Let them say Sharat Chandra, Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, all these people were stupid. Let them say Ambedkar was wrong for doing those things. And then what they're left with is just Karl Marx. Then unka sab discourse band. Intellectual idols khatam. They don't have any rallying point anymore. All their temples and idols are broken then. Ninar, okay, was referring to your suggestion only. No. So what examples did you give? Bihar and, let me check your comment. Punjab and Bihar. पंजाब एंड बिहार का प्रॉब्लम थोड़ा अलग है. और एग्जैक्टली बंगाल के जैसा नहीं है। बिहार का तो वैसा प्रॉब्लम और भी पहले से ही है। एंड राज ठाकरे यूज टू से दिस हिमसेल्फ दैट वो लोग तो अपना जगह ठीक नहीं करेंगे, हम इनको निकाल देंगे। बट नाउ द प्रॉब्लम इज दैट देयर इज द इशू, देयर इज द एडिशनल लेयर ऑफ रिलीजन एज वेल। अभी तक तो सिर्फ इकोनॉमिक्स का प्रॉब्लम था कि वो लोग गरीब भिखारी रह जाएगा, वो स्टेट भिखारी रह जाएगा, ये लोग बाहर जाएंगे और वहाँ पे जाके अमीर बन जाएंगे, वो स्टेट का इंप्रूवमेंट नहीं होगा। बंगाल का केस इज डिफरेंट इन टू वेज। Not only is it not just an economic problem, it's also a religious problem that Hinduism is a threat here. Secondly, it's not that Biharis are going to Maharashtra and settling down and living for a generation or two, or let's say taking the voter ID card of that place and then voting or having the same thoughts or going back to Bihar to vote for the same party which is destroying their state. If they are doing that, then that's unfortunate, and then my suggestion is applicable to them also. But what Bengalis are doing is exactly that. Bengalis have zero accountability. Bengalis are creating taking steps to destroy Hinduism, and they are taking the economic advantages of other states while they are voting for parties who are destroying Bengal's economics. Vishwadeep, exactly, Vishwadeep. That's why they are demolishing Rabindranath Tagore idols near Dhaka University. Yes, they have realized this, and I want Kolkata's Bengalis to do this same thing. They should fall into this trap as well. Right, let's get back to this paper. जो चीज बांग्लादेशी एथिस्ट के दिमाग में घुस गया, वो कोलकाता के बंगाली एथिस्ट के दिमाग में नहीं घुस रहा है। सोचो कितने मूर्ख हैं। They have to reject रविन्द्रनाथ टैगोर। और वैसे तुम नॉन बंगाली लोग रविन्द्रनाथ टैगोर बोलना बंद करो। ये ब्रिटिश ने टैगोर बना दिया उच्चारण, और बाकी सब बंगाली भी उसको टैगोर बोलते हैं जब बाहर जाते हैं। उनका सरनेम सिंपली ठाकुर है। ठाकुर का इतना जो अपर कास्ट ब्राह्मण वाला जो नेगेटिव कॉनोटेशन है, इसलिए बंगाली किसी को करेक्ट नहीं करते कि ये ठाकुर है। ऑलवेज प्रोनाउंस हिज नेम एज रविन्द्रनाथ ठाकुर। शंकरी सिंह, हाउ अबाउट अ बंगाली हिंदू होलोकॉस्ट म्यूजियम एंड सच वर्कशॉप? ग्रेट आइडिया। इसका फंडिंग तो होना ही चाहिए, ये तो छोटा मोटा फंडिंग से ही हो जाएगा। लेट्स डू दिस। वैसे बनाने का परमिशन नहीं मिलेगा कहीं पे तुम्हें कि कोई और स्टेट में बनाओ। ममता बनर्जी यहाँ पे परमिशन नहीं देगा। अभिनाग, बॉन्ग हिंदूज इज इक्वल टू कैलिफोर्नियंस एंड न्यूयॉर्कर्स। 100% yes. So it's better that if they feel my suggestion is too harsh for them, let them go to USA instead. Destroy USA from inside. Don't come back to West Bengal. अच्छा, तो यहाँ पे हमने देखा एग्जाम्पल ऑफ, अरे रोहन, यस। अच्छा, तो देखो बैंडेड के ऊपर बैंडेड लगाने का क्या प्रॉब्लम है। तो व्हाट वी आर सीइंग फ्रॉम व्हाट द ब्रिटिश इज डूइंग इन हैंडलिंग द शिया वर्सेस सुनी सिचुएशन, दैट्स व्हाट वी हैव टू अवॉइड डूइंग। वी कांट अवॉइड बैंडेड ओवर बैंडेड। अच्छा, okay, on the question of the utterance of these verses on other days of the year, it was decided to leave the matter to the operations of ordinary, let's see, पेज टर्न होने में जेस्टर में बहुत टाइम लगता है। the operations of ordinary law, अच्छा, किसी और के शोल्डर पे डाल दिया। This meant that deliberately offensive recitations of Chariyari verses by individuals could still be punished by the law at all times of the year. However, an absolute ban on Chariyari was not imposed, as the Sunnis were deemed to possess the right to express the distinguishing doctrines of their faith. Thus, Sunnis could be granted permission to utter these verses under strict regulation in a circumscribed area on particular days of the year, so as not to offend the Shias or cause a law and order problem. The Shia plea that the recitation of these verses be banned throughout the year was disallowed. क्या बैंडेड के ऊपर उसके ऊपर एक और बैंडेड। देखो एक्चुअल पॉलिसी पोजीशंस में करेज नहीं दिखाने का फल क्या होता है। एंड ये वो राम आउटसाइडर है, वो आउटसाइडर के डेफिनेशन पूछो उससे पहले, क्या क्या आउटसाइडर है। पैंट शर्ट पहनना भी बंगाली कल्चर नहीं है, ठीक है, टी शर्ट पहनना बंगाली कल्चर नहीं है। और अगर राम बंगाली कल्चर नहीं है तो कृतिबास ओझा ने क्यों लिखा रामायण। बंगाल में ऐसा एक गांव है सातरागाछी के अराउंड ये आई थिंक, जहाँ पे पूरा गांव का कल्चर है कि राम के नाम से ही कुछ ना कुछ नाम होगा। रामदीन, रामपाल, ऐसा ही नाम होता है उन लोगों का। राम हैज़ अ वेरी वेरी लॉन्ग lineage of being worshipped in Bengal. Okay, the only thing Ram doesn't have is how he is worshipped. Pritibha Ojha's Ramayana was more focused towards the problems Sita faced. That's the only difference. तो ये तो पहली बात तो ये ब्यूटी है हिंदुइज्म का कि हर जगह का रीजन का जो इथोस है वो पूरा का पूरा वो कोड हिंदू टेक्स्ट में ही, कैनोनिकल हिंदू टेक्स्ट में ही डाल देते हैं. ठीक है. राम का आज का जो वर्शिप करने का तरीका वो या राम नवमी सेलिब्रेट करने का तरीका जो है वो आउटसाइडर हुआ भी तो क्या प्रॉब्लम है. आस्क देम सो व्हाट. Is t-shirt and pant not outsider? Was Satyajit Ray learning from Bengal's jatras, or was he taking inspiration from outside? Satyajit Ray के म्यूजिक में वेस्टर्न क्लासिकल म्यूजिक क्यों है? सिर्फ सितार क्यों भरा नहीं दिया? Satyajit Ray knew Western classical music theory inside out. He used to compose his own background scores. He used to direct cello players, violin players. वो बंगाल कल्चर था. बंगाल कल्चर कहाँ से शुरू होता है, कहाँ खत्म होता है? राम है आउटसाइडर. So what? Rampal Ashok Thakur is saying, do you remember when Arijit Singh sang a song Gerua in front of Mamta Gandhi in a award show? Yes. Rampur Hart. Where does these come from? Yes, they come from outside. They come from Bihar. Rohan Shatra is saying, unfortunately, we have one Agnihotri currently. Yes. Shatragachi village of Howrah district. Right. Yes, Abhinag has pointed out the problem. There are no Shia Bengalis, only Sunni. Yes. And Shias, I have heard that are more sympathetic towards BJP. In addition, the committee also made a distinction between Chariyari and Tabara and declared that they could not be placed on the same footing. It adjudicated that while Chariyari primarily involved praise of the companions of the Prophet, Tabara primarily involved abuse against the first three caliphs, with the intent of hurting Sunni religious sensibilities. The recitation of Tabara was therefore deemed unlawful at all times of the year under any considerations. Acha. The Pigot committee thus sought to balance the claims of both the communities, but not surprisingly, it succeeded in pleasing neither of them. This is what happens with band-aids. The Sunnis were the first to express their dissatisfaction with these recommendations, which they claimed curtailed their freedom to express their fundamental religious beliefs. They decided to confront the government after it accepted the recommendations of the Pigot committee. Thus in 1909 Sunnis और ये प्रॉब्लम कब शुरू हुआ है देखो, 1956 से प्रॉब्लम शुरू हो गया, वो कल्मिनेशन हुआ 37-38 तक जाके. ये लोग भूलते नहीं है कुछ. Thus in 1909 Sunnis deliberately flouted the government orders disallowing Chariyari during Muharram, which led to arrests and prosecution. The chastened Lucknow Sunnis now decided to take the lawful route. In 1911, they applied to the Deputy Commissioner of Lucknow for permission to take out a Chariyari procession, which was denied as it was feared that it could lead to riots. A second application was made in 1912 to the Lieutenant Governor Sir James Meston, but this too ended in failure. Orders were henceforth issued every year as a matter of routine by the government, disallowing public recitation of Chariyari in any organized manner. The Sunnis therefore desisted from taking out any Chariyari processions. अच्छा, कमेंट में देखते हैं क्या हो रहा है. रोहन इज सेइंग दादा शियाज आर सिंपैथेटिक cause they are less in numbers and have enmity with Sunnis. Yeah, that is of course true. It's a fault line, we just have to explore it. Yeah. Okay. The problem broke out with renewed vigor in 1936 on Ashura Day, when two Sunnis disobeyed orders and publicly recited Chariyari in the city center of Lucknow. They were arrested and prosecuted. But then on Chilam Day, more Sunnis took part in reciting Chariyari and 14 were arrested. This led to a new agitation by the Lucknow Sunnis in favor of reciting these verses publicly, which came to be known as Madhe Sahaba. Sahaba means those who have seen or met the Prophet personally. So Madhe Sahaba, praises of the companions of the Prophet. The Sunnis now proposed to take out a procession on Barawafat, the Prophet's birthday on 3rd June 1936, during which Madhe Sahaba verses would be recited. This was prohibited by the Lucknow Police Commissioner in anticipation of violence. The Sunnis, however, had a procession without permission on 12th June 1936, reciting verses from the Quran containing praises of the companions of the Prophet without any reference to their names. Wow. This led Shias to believe that Madhe Sahaba had been recited and they retaliated by publicly reciting Tabarra. देखो misconception से क्या क्या हो गया. Madhe Sahaba was prohibited by the Lucknow Police Commissioner in anticipation of violence. The Sunnis, however, had a procession without permission. ठीक है, without permission procession किया, मगर क्या किया? reciting verses from the Quran containing praises of the companions of the Prophet without any reference to their names. बिना नाम लेके procession कर दिया. Which led Shias to believe that Madhe Sahaba had been recited, and they retaliated by publicly reciting Tabarra. The Sunnis deepened the conflict by taking out processions every Friday reciting Madhe Sahaba in deliberate defiance of official orders prohibiting such processions. A spate of arrests and prosecutions followed, leading to a considerable law and order problem in Lucknow over the next few months. Towards the winter of 1936, both sides turned to the government to resolve the dispute by presenting memorials. Memorial का मतलब है memorandums. Memorials and making their respective cases on the issue. And a series of negotiations ensued between the three parties. These negotiations, however, failed to break the deadlock, and the government therefore appointed yet another committee, एक और band-aid, headed by Justice Alsop of the Allahabad High Court to review the situation. The Alsop Committee, which began its proceedings in April 1937, was asked to decide upon two questions. First, whether the principles and policies laid down in the government resolution of 7th January 1909 following the Piggott Committee report required any modification, changes चाहिए कि नहीं, and second, whether the practices adopted by the Lucknow district administration vis-a-vis the Sunnis in the context of Sunnis for maintaining law and order needed to be changed. The Alsop Committee submitted its report to the government by June 1937 and endorsed the recommendations of the Piggott Committee to maintain the status quo. ठीक है, जो पहले जो law बना था वही law रहेगा, ये decision हुआ यहाँ पे. This could hardly be expected to assuage the Sunnis, impress the Sunnis, and the government, reluctant to offend the majority in the Muslim population, accordingly delayed the publication of the Alsop report. लो, band-aid दिया, band-aid पसंद नहीं आया सुन्नीस को, इसलिए वो band-aid डिले कर दिया गया, which is itself another band-aid. देखो कि कैसे प्रॉब्लम को और बढ़ावा दिया जा रहा है. Instead, it sought to bring about a compromise between Shias and Sunnis through the mediation of Maulana Abul Kalam Azad. This seems to be more reasonable. Let's see what happened. However, with these negotiations not making much headway, and with the Sunnis threatening and agitation for the publication of the report, the government finally published in March 1938 वो report, along with a resolution accepting the report's findings. अच्छा, वो पहला वाला जो bandit था वो finally publish हो गया. The Sunni response, as expected, was an outright rejection of the decisions of the Alsop Committee and the condemnation of the resolution of the government. Maulana Zafrul Mulk and Maulana Abdul Shakur, the two main leaders of the Madhe Sahaba movement, told a public meeting in Lucknow in late April 1938 that a meeting of 26 eminent ulama had decided that recitation of Madhe Sahaba could not be restricted for even a single day, since it was a fundamental religious right. Zafrul Mulk declared that he had sent a notice to the government that the Sunnis would launch civil disobedience in case it did not reconsider its decision. The next day on Chilam, there was an incident in Patanala, a narrow lane in Lucknow, housing the Dar al-Muballaghin, a Sunni religious institution run by Maulana Abdul Shakur. Brickbats were thrown at a Shia Tazia procession passing in front of the institution, and the consequent riot saw 10 people being killed and several dozen injured. तो देखो, शिया और सुन्नी के राइट्स में सेम चीजें हुआ. ब्रिकबैट्स फेंका गया विदाउट प्रोवोकेशन एंड 10 पीपल गॉट किल्ड. ओके, और ये स्टोन थ्रोइंग का एक इंटरेस्टिंग आर्ग्यूमेंट है बंगाली कॉमिक्स जो देते हैं कि बीजेपी ने प्रोवोक किया मुस्लिम माइनॉरिटी एरिया में जाके, माइनॉरिटी एरियाज में जाके. ठीक है, वहाँ पे भी आर्ग्यूमेंट है कि माइनॉरिटी एरिया कैसे हो सकता है सेक्युलर कंट्री में, छोड़ो, दिमाग में नहीं घुसेगा. बीजेपी ने प्रोवोक किया और हो गया, ऐसा कैसे हुआ? बीजेपी हर जगह पे है और कहीं पे ये प्रोवोकेशन आज तक नहीं हुआ. हिंदूज कितनी बार प्रोवोक करते हैं? ठीक है, ये और आर्ग्यूमेंट भी वीक लगे. और भी आर्ग्यूमेंट है कि प्रोवोकेशन बीजेपी हिंदूज की तरफ भी था. शिवलिंग वो ज्ञानपापी में जो मिला उसको लेकर कोई राइट नहीं हुआ, तो ठीक है, प्रोवोकेशन हुआ, राइट नहीं हुआ. सो वाई नाउ क्रेडिट द प्रोवोकेशन with being the cause of the riot? Okay, Hindus had the provocation, but they did not commit riot when Gyanvapi mosques Shivling, when Gyanvapi Mandir Shivling was mocked. When Kashmir files came out, no Hindus rioted. That could have provoked Hindus. It did not. Okay, when Palghar sadhus were killed, Hindus could have rioted. They did not. So many provocations we gave up. Okay, when Anand Margis were burnt to death in Bengal, no one rioted. Hindus have let go of many chances to riot even though they were provoked. ठीक है, अब आओ असली टॉपिक पे. After you have debated all these 3 points, that if if the provocation happened and then the stone throwing happened, how did the stones go on the top of the terrace or roof? ऐसे बार बार कैसे होता है? तो क्या पिछले दिन से ही पता चल गया था कि प्रोवोकेशन होगा, इसलिए स्टोन्स पहुंच गया खुद से, पैदल चल के वो पत्थर पैदल चल के टेरेस पे पहुंच गया? ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है? आस्क दिस टू बंगाली कॉमीज इन फेसबुक एंड व्हाट्सएप एंड योर फ्रेंड्स. हाउ डिड द प्रोवोकेशन कॉज retrospectively to the stones to reach the terrace? Or is their argument this, that when the provocation happened, then people picked up the stones on the streets but did not throw them there? They carried the stones, everyone took 1 or 2 stones and went to the terrace. Did that happen? No. Then only, let's say what 10 guys can at a time stand side by side on a terrace and throw stones. तो 10 के हाथ में 2 पत्थर होगा, 20 पत्थर फेंका होगा, 5 मिनट की में राइट खत्म. ऐसा भी नहीं हुआ. Which means stones were present in the terraces from beforehand. Okay? Therefore, there is absolutely no excuse to blame this on any provocation. No provocation happened first of all, and even if provocation did happened, how did they know it the previous night? Okay, Harsh Ravi saying they are damn annoying. Even Ambedkar shall be disappointed on them. Nina is saying it depends on which community has power. You should read on the mentor of Akbar, Balram Khan, Shia, in his early days, who murdered most opposing Sunnis in his administration and put Shias instead. Ron is saying bring a law, pass a law in parliament where a lower caste Hindu will lose reservation and other benefits once they convert to other religion from Hinduism. This is the most obvious one. How can this even be law? I didn't even know this, that this is legal, this is even possible. How is this not being done? Ambedkar was the fault that these kinds of events are happening rather than improving the religion. He hated it, despised it. छोड़ो, उन्होंने खुद उनके बारे में क्या बोला है वो हाईलाइट करो. आम्बेडकर ने जो बोला है वो हम ऑलरेडी फेस कर रहे हैं, अब उनको फेस करने दो. आम्बेडकर का बात है, ठीक है. वी आर ऑलरेडी फेसिंग द ब्रंट ऑफ आम्बेडकर्स वर्ड्स, तो लेट देम फेस द ब्रंट ऑफ आम्बेडकर्स वर्ड्स. दैट्स व्हाट आई एम सेइंग. The government arrested Abdul Shakur and Zafrul Mulk in order to control the situation. वो बैंडेड का पहाड़ बना दिया है, देखो एक और बैंडेड. But this outraged Sunnis in other parts of the UP as the issue began to spill out of the confines of Lucknow. Shops were shut for 2 full days in Lucknow. Big public meetings were held in Barabanki, Bareilly, Bahraich, Faizabad, Bijnor, Saharanpur, Ghazipur, Agra, Azamgarh. ये सब जगह में riot हो गया. And a general strike was observed in Sultanpur district. The 2 Maulanas were subsequently released by the government as it issued fresh invitations to both parties to attend negotiations. Okay. The next several months, however, saw a build-up in tension as both Shias and Sunnis prepared for a showdown. On the Sunni side, the Anjuman Tahaffuz-e-Namus Sahaba was formed to coordinate civil disobedience. On the Shia side, the Anjuman Tanzimul Momineen emerged as the premier organization along with a Fauj Abbasiya. Fauj और वॉलंटियर कोर फॉर सेल्फ डिफेंस. देखो सीखो. सेल्फ डिफेंस का स्ट्रीट वायलेंस के लिए, स्ट्रीट वायलेंस से बचने के लिए, स्ट्रीट पावर के लिए ग्रुप तैयार हो गया. फौज अब्बासिया, वॉलंटियर कोर. ये मुस्लिम लीग का भी था, ये पीएफआई का भी था. नाउ द मुस्लिम लीग डिलेमा सब चैप्टर. दिस इज वेयर वी विल हैव स्टार्ट हैविंग फन. ओके, लेट मी चेक व्हाट्स द. Okay, Rana Prajapati saying Ambedkar should have brought the knowledge to Hindus who stay united and stop casteism rather than that he promoted it being anti-Hindu. Listen, read Annihilation of Caste. Have you read it? I'm not challenging you. तुमने पढ़ा नहीं है. I'm asking genuinely. If you read it, because Annihilation of Caste is also misinterpreted and mispropagated by taking out lines. Because the most popular version of Annihilation of Caste is the one with the foreword by Arundhati Roy. Okay, इसलिए बहुत लोगों को उल्टा पुल्टा जिस मिलता है एनाइलेशन ऑफ कास्ट का. मैंने एनाइलेशन ऑफ कास्ट का फर्स्ट हाफ पढ़ा है, बाकी खत्म नहीं कर पाया क्योंकि बहुत बड़ा था. फिर किसी ने बोला कि माय व्यूज ऑन अंबेडकर इज रॉन्ग. अ कम्युनिस्ट टोल्ड मी, अ मार्क्सिस्ट स्कॉलर टोल्ड मी that no, Ambedkar never spoke of Hindu unity, which I was claiming. Then I read the end of Annihilation of Caste. Everywhere, the portions I mentioned, all you will see is Ambedkar's call for Hindu unity. Same you will see in Rabindranath Tagore's words also. When Rabindranath Tagore is criticizing people for being busy with their different cultures and different sampradayas, sects and their rituals, he's saying, अरे sect को मारो गोली, united बन के resist करो Islamic aggression. Okay. Ambedkar has all said the first exactly same thing from the beginning of annihilation of caste. He is saying Hindus are divided, Hindus are divided, Hindus are divided. He does not start it with see Brahmins are so bad, see Shudras are so oppressed. That's not his narrative. Do you know what's the most genius thing I read in Annihilation of Caste? हमारा क्या 3 बेसिक इथोस है? लिबर्टी, इक्वलिटी, फ्रेटर्निटी. लिबर्टी चाहिए भी या नहीं चाहिए ये किसी में कंसेंसस नहीं है. इक्वलिटी सबको चाहिए. फ्रेटर्निटी वर्ड किसी के दिमाग में ही नहीं है. आम्बेडकर स्टार्ट्स विद दैट. फ्रेटर्निटी कहाँ गया? Fraternity means unity. Fraternity means unity among Hindus. And then he gives examples. Muslims are united. Any problem happens to any Muslim, all Muslims will gather. Anything happens to Hindus, Hindus won't gather. That's the narrative he draws. He starts talking about Hindu unity from the very beginning. The impression of Ambedkar that you have is based on how communists have portrayed him today. Don't do that. Read his actual work. And then my stronger argument in this case has always been that in 1946 he writes in Partition or Pakistan of India, only he talks about Hindu safety. If he hated in Hindus, why would he talk about Hindu safety? Abhinag is saying Apurva Poddar Ekefin Ali is from Dalit convert to Islam and MP from Arambagh on a reserved seat. आफिन अली. अच्छा, एफिन नाम का यहाँ पे एक लड़का है, उसके बारे में बात हो रहा था मैंने. अपूर्व पोत्तर एके आफिन अली, ये कैसे हो गया? फ्रॉम दलित कन्वर्ट टू इस्लाम एंड एमपी. अच्छा, पहले नाम था अपूर्व पोद्दार, फिर कन्वर्ट होकर आफिन अली बन गया. आरामबाग ऑन अ रिजर्व सीट. Ambedkar criticized Marxism and hated socialism too. Yes, he also said that don't have the word socialist in the constitution. अभी हमको सोशलिज्म ठीक लग रहा है, ठीक है, मगर why do you want to thrust and impose this one particular, जो कि is just one way of thinking of economics. Why do you want to impose this on the rest of the generations of Indians? क्योंकि बाकी लोग जो एब्राहमिक वे ऑफ थिंकिंग में बिलीव करते थे, उनको लगा कि अच्छा एक आइडिया मेरे दिमाग में आया तो ये आइडिया बेस्टेस्ट होगा और हमेशा के लिए ये आइडिया ही रहेगा. ये हमारे दिमाग में आया तो ये यूनिवर्सल बन गया. Ambedkar did not think that way. That's why he said don't make socialism the main economics of the country. It's just one of the great ideas. He also agreed to Sanskrit being the national language because his thoughts were evolving. First of all, evolution छोड़ो, the very fact that you need to highlight is that he agreed on Sanskrit being the national language. Evolution सबके जिंदगी में होगा. कोई अगर 70-80 साल तक जिंदा रहे तो उसके जिंदगी में एवोल्यूशन होगा. एवोल्यूशन का ठेका हम क्यों ले? हमको दिखाना है कि अंबेडकर का कहाँ हिंदुत्व स्टेटमेंट्स था, रविन्द्रनाथ का कहाँ हिंदुत्व स्टेटमेंट्स था. Now the Muslim League dilemma. The Muslim League saw the Shia-Sunni schism as a serious threat since it undermined the idea that the Muslims were an undivided religious and political community. But what was particularly embarrassing for the Muslim League was the fact that partisans on both sides of the conflict were beyond its control, thus bringing into question the party's claims to being the quote-unquote authoritative and sole representative organization of the Muslims. Furthermore, the Muslim League faced the prospect of splintering on this issue, getting divided on this issue, as district units in UP began to manifest splits among the Shia-Sunni lines. Muslim League के district कार्यालय में Shia-Sunni divide होने लगा. The Muslim League's problems were compounded by the fact that while the Sunnis comprised the overwhelming majority of the UP Muslims, the leadership had a number of Shia landlords in important leadership positions such as the Raja of Mahmudabad, जिसने बोला कि Stalin was inspired from Islam, the Raja of Salempur and the Raja of Pirpur. Jinnah himself was a Shia. The Muslim League initially, and yesterday Arzu Kazmi was saying on Sanjay Dixit's podcast that Pakistan is majority Shia. The Muslim League initially decided to maintain a policy of strict neutrality on the Maate Sahaba issue. इन्होंने भी बैंडेड लेने का सोचा. चलो let's pretend it didn't happen, like the Congress had done in the case of the communal award. But this failed to please either group. It therefore changed tactics and started to make new specific initiatives towards both sects to stem the alarming breakdown of Muslim unity and to recoup its own political base, which they were successful in doing. क्योंकि 37-38 में ये हुआ, 46 में partition हो गया, where Muslim League was the biggest hero for Muslims. The Muslim League and the Shias. The Shias were hostile towards the Muslim League since they saw its neutrality on the issue as a sign of its Sunni sympathies. The Shias bluntly accused the party of hypocrisy on minority issues. As Nawab S.M. Ismail, a Shia Muslim League member of the Legislative Council from the neighboring state of Bihar, wrote to Jinnah that the All India Muslim League, who speak in the name of the minority Muslim community and also speaks of the tyranny of the Hindu majority, ought to look with its naked eyes, or to see and to realize the tyranny of the Muslim majority over the Muslim minority. Ismail further reminded Jinnah that as a Shia himself, he needed to protect the religious rights of his brethren. The Anjuman Tanzimul Mumineen, the main Shia organization formed under the guidance of Shia Mujtahids, therefore condemned the Muslim League as a Sunni organization and asked Shias to join the Congress. The Anjuman's executive committee passed a further resolution denying the Muslim League's right to represent Shias and stated that any Muslim League government agreement over Madhe Sahaba would not be binding on them. The Anjuman also reached out for Hindu support by expressing itself. Ye dekho mazedar cheez. The Anjuman also reached out for Hindu support by expressing itself in favor of cow protection, and there is precedence for this as well. Okay, just YouTube or Google में search कर लो. There's a Shia Muslim leader in UP who talks of cow protection even today. Hindu presence in Shia mosques became a regular feature, and in Kanpur, the Shias circulated a pamphlet entitled "What is Tabarra?" among Hindus. Finally, in what was a humiliating slap on the face of the Muslim League, a deputation of Shia leaders made a trip to Wardha to petition Mahatma Gandhi in the matter. Not only was the Muslim League's position as the authoritative organization of the Muslims being challenged, but also the Congress was being approached as a forum for appeal by one of the parties in the conflict who were supposed to be Muslim League's base. Okay. और ये legal precedence से याद आया. There's a cultural precedence for what I'm suggesting as well. No one can say that I am suggesting absolutely mindless things because it's just a retaliation to something else. If Ram Navami processions cannot happen in minority areas, whereby you are suspending the right of any Indian to settle down in any part of the country and to go visit any part of the country, वो right तो suspend हो रहा है ना officially. Chief Minister ने बोल दिया है, मतलब ये legal precedence है, ठीक है. Chief Ministers ने बोला है minority affairs, minority areas में क्यों गया था वो. In the same way I am saying that then Bengalis don't have the right to go to Delhi, Bangalore and Pune and Mumbai. They have to stay back in West Bengal and fix their state. Was being approached as a forum for appeal by one of the parties. हाँ, सब कुछ तो बहिरागत तो है. तो रामनवमी सेलिब्रेट करने वाले बिहार से क्यों आ रहे हैं, तो तुम बंगाल के बाहर क्यों जा रहे हो नौकरी करने के लिए. It's the same thing. I'm just applying the same logic to them. The Muslim League attempted to assuage an angry Shia community with a range of strategies. It first approached the Shias through the issue of Palestine, hoping to tap into the rich vein of sentiment for fellow oppressed Muslims in the wider Islamic world, which had paid handsome dividends during the Khilafat agitation. The Anjuman Tanzimul Mumineen was therefore persuaded by the Muslim League to participate in its Palestine Day processions on 26th August 1938. On this occasion, the Shia band joining the Muslim League procession in Lucknow comprised 400 men carrying lathis and another 50 volunteers of the Fauj Abbasiya carrying dummy rifles. This Anjuman's participation in a Muslim League sponsored rally brought swift condemnation from within the Shia community. अच्छा, अब Shia में भी cleavage हो गया. Critics contended that the Shias could not take part in such meetings or processions unless the Muslim League promised to stand by and support them in their conflict with the Sunnis. To stanch the flow of criticism, the Anjuman responded by promising not to cooperate with the Muslim League until the latter reformed its current policy, which was detrimental to Shia interests. The Shias were obviously placing a price on their support and forcing the Muslim League to raise its bids. They are looking for the highest bidder. Congress, Hindu, Muslim League, koi bhi mil jaye. The Muslim League responded by withdrawing its candidate against Syed Ali Zahir for the Allahabad Jaunpur Muslim seat to the UP Legislative Assembly in a by-election held in January 1939. This was on the grounds that he was a Shia and the Muslim League wanted to make a concession to the Shia committee. Baapre. Syed Ali Zahir's sympathies with the Congress were well known. The son of Sir Wazir Hassan, a prominent Congress member, Zahir had resigned from the Muslim League soon after its Lucknow session in October 1937. after denouncing Jinnah for his quote-unquote negative policy, and the Muslim League, and he criticized the Muslim League for its anti-national position. Syed Ali Zahir won the seat unopposed and went on to become a vocal defender of Shia rights as the agitation progressed, totally ignoring the Muslim League. Lo. The importance of the Muslim League's gesture may be gauged from the fact that this was the first time the party had not contested a Muslim seat after the Congress had assumed office in the UP. ये पहली बार हुआ था. Elections were occasions for the Muslim League to bolster its credentials as the sole representative organization of the Muslims, and a concession of this kind was therefore the high price that it was willing to pay to avert a meltdown in UP Muslim politics. It was that serious. Okay. Abhinag is saying Shias don't eat beef because there is hadith in favor of cow milk and cheese. I know a Shia girl who is now married to a Hindu boy and she was a staunch cow protectionist. Nice. हमारा तो allyship बनने का और भी हो गया. Rana Prajapati is saying core Hindutva ideology is required to grow for India. That is growing though already. Bring minorities into Hindu dharma. 10 years of jail. My continuation, sorry, mistakenly sent incomplete. Ambedkar should have brought the knowledge. The BJP, let's see, Rana, what did you say? The BJP government needs to establish strict law if converted to any religion, lose the benefits of reservation, and keeping the Hindu name after conversion will be sentenced to 10 years. Yeah, exactly. ये जो keeping the Hindu name, that's so misleading. I know Christians in Bengal. I know Buddhists. Buddhists का तो वैसे भी नाम सेम ही होना है, संस्कृत बेस्ड नाम होगा ही, वो छोड़ो. मगर Christians का भी नाम चेंज ही नहीं किया. हर जगह पे नौकरी मिल रहा है, लग रहा है कि अच्छा ये तो कुछ अलग चीज नहीं है. हर जगह में जाके बात कर रहा है एज इफ ही इज अ हिंदू, बट देयर क्रिश्चियंस. और वैसे भी थोड़ा आउटरीच क्रिश्चियंस को भी जा सकता है, बिकॉज क्रिश्चियंस what Christians in Kerala are noticing, that should be what Christians in Bengal are also noticing, because Trinamool is supposed to be the pro-minority party, Congress is supposed to be the pro-minority party. Christians in Kerala are pissed off that Congress is becoming so Muslim favoring party. That's why they are pissed off and they will not vote. They won't vote for BJP obviously, and therefore in Bengal also they might be observing the same things. जो हमने बजट पढ़ा 5,166 करोड़ का माइनॉरिटी अफेयर्स एंड मद्रासा एजुकेशन का बजट ममता बनर्जी का, उसमें क्रिश्चियंस का नाम, क्रिश्चियन वर्ड कहीं पे नहीं था ना. तो डू यू थिंक बंगाल्स क्रिश्चियंस आर ऑब्लिवियस टू दिस? दे आर नोटिसिंग व्हाट्स हैपनिंग. आई थिंक दे वोंट वोट, और इफ दे वोट they will vote for Trinamool, but BJP should approach them. And why am I advocating some outreach to Christians? Because urban Christians, convent educated Christians are absolutely way better than the conversion mafia you see on the ground level. Okay, let me give you 3 examples. It's not a coincidence that from time to time nationalists do come from the convent schools. Okay, they are exceptions obviously, but exceptions prove what's the norm. ठीक है, ऐसा नहीं है कि कॉन्वेंट से सब एक के बाद एक नेशनलिस्ट आ रहे हैं, मगर आते तो हैं. LK Advani is from convent. J. Sai Deepak is educated in a convent school. I am educated in a convent school. वो देखो मेरे स्कूल का सिंबल यहाँ पे, ठीक है. I studied in that school from class 3 to 6. Memories आज तक नहीं गया. I'm on talking terms with all of those friends whom I last saw in class 6, and then I went to visit that school once in 2017. All of them are Christians, and none of them are anti-nationalists. Because let me tell you how Christians are different from Muslims in this case. In our convent school in the hills, our school anthem was written by Rabindranath Tagore. First of all, it's an English anthem for a convent school written by Rabindranath Tagore. Our founder was a fan of Ramakrishna Paramahansa. Okay. Thirdly, in our main school hall, जहाँ पे थिएटर वगैरह होता है, परफॉर्मेंसेस होता है, वहाँ पे दाहिने तरफ बड़ा होर्डिंग में स्कूल का एंथम लिखा हुआ है, लेफ्ट में इक्वल साइज में सेम फॉन्ट में सेम होर्डिंग में नेशनल एंथम लिखा हुआ है. Not once have I ever felt anything other than an Indian while studying in that school. And when I came out of that school, when I became a nationalist, when I realized that, oh my God, even Christian conversions are a problem, I never could think of anything that was taught to me that seemed to be anti-Hindu. They never tried to epistemically change me. They were always the true believers of that yeah, after all paths lead to the same God. सिर्फ पूजा पद्धति में ही difference है. That is the core ethos of a lot of convent schools. and we can impress those people and getting them to vote for BJP. It is possible. So it's not a coincidence that nationalists do come out of convent schools. Okay, after any time, after any event, when we had to sing the school anthem, उसके बाद बिना स्टॉप किए पियानो प्लेयर रुकता भी नहीं था, डायरेक्ट वी यूज्ड टू गो टू जनगण मन. डू यू थिंक दैट हैपेंस इन एनी मुस्लिम मदरसा? इतना फोर्स करना पड़ता है? या फिर हम डिबेट में भी ये बोल सकते हैं कि ऑल वी वांट इज टू मदरसास टू फंक्शन लाइक कॉन्वेंट क्रिश्चियन स्कूल्स. वही करिकुलम, वैसा इथोस, नेशनल एंथम सिंगिंग and pro India teaching syllabuses. That's all we want from madrasas. And if you don't want to do that, go vote for Trinamool. If you want that to happen, vote for BJP. Christians in Bengal is negligible, but they are enough to shift votes. Negligible हुआ तो क्या हुआ? Do you know how many Christians are there in South Bengal? In villages, South 24 Parganas. Rohan Shastran, yes, in Bengal there are many Bengalis who are Hindu by name but Christian in faith. Abhinag, I am also educated in convent school and was made to say that Christian prayer every morning. I was not made to say any Christian prayer in the morning. I was made to say a Christian, it's a Christian prayer, but it did not have Jesus in the prayer, okay? And since they believe that all paths lead to the same God, that's what I was taught all my life, then that prayer also makes sense that it appeals to the same God. I can argue it in that way. और प्रेयर सिखाया तो क्या हो गया? प्रेयर सिखाया तो तुम्हें एंटी नेशनल तो नहीं बना दिया. एंटी नेशनल बनाया जाता है मदरसाज में, कॉन्वेंट स्कूल्स में एंटी नेशनल नहीं बनाया जाता है. जो जितना एंटी नेशनल कॉन्वेंट बनाता है वो एनी वो जेएनयू भी बनाता है. दैट्स ऑल आई एम सेइंग. Yes, Rana Prajapati is suggesting nice things here. But meltdown in UP politics. Okay. Now the Muslim League and the Sunnis. So it's no coincidence that you also came out of a convent school, Abhi. You see, because otherwise, how many? We already have found four people all around me. You, I, Jesai Deepak, LK Advani. Find out 4 people who have come out of madrasas and have become nationalists. Do you think it's a coincidence? Okay, the greater threat for the Muslim League arose from the fact that its Sunni flank was rendered vulnerable by the Madhe Sahaba movement. In the first place, the main Sunni leaders of the movement were independent and not amenable to the Muslim League's control. Zafrul Mulk and Abdul Shakur were suspicious of Muslim League's intentions, given the fact that Shias such as Mahmudabad, Salempur and Pirpur were top-ranking UP Muslim League leaders. Thus, at a Sunni public meeting called by Zafrul Mulk and Abdul Shakur, the Muslim League representative who got up to declare support for civil disobediences against the government orders prohibiting Madhe Sahaba processions was heckled and told to sit down, as quote-unquote nobody had faith in the Muslim League on the matter. Muslim League is becoming irrelevant day by day here. Secondly, anti-Muslim League Muslim political parties aligned with the Congress, such as the Ahrar party, which became extremely active throughout 1938 and 1939 in trying to attract the Sunni support. The Ahrars are getting Sunni support, but they are aligned with Congress. देखो क्या अजीब equation है. The Ahrars had considerable success in gaining adherents, especially in the Agra division of the UP. The Ahrars fished in troubled waters by hiring Kharijites to utter tabarra against Imam Ali in many places. This led to a riot between Shias and Sunnis in Raebareli. Okay, Abhinag is saying Vela Goldsmith School. Yeah. Oh, that's in Kolkata, right? Oh, it's not Vela, it's Welland Goldsmith School. वो वहाँ पे कौन सा क्रिश्चियन प्रेयर होता था? वो आ फादर thou art in heaven वाला. Rana Prajapati, you are asking a question which is not relevant to Bengalis. In Bengal, the best schools are convent schools only, except maybe South Point. साउथ पॉइंट के अलावा जो अच्छा स्कूल है, अच्छा स्कूल जहाँ पे एक्चुअली तुम कुछ सीख पाओगे, वो सब के सब क्रिश्चियन स्कूल्स है. डॉन बॉस्को बोलो, सेंट थॉमस बोलो, ये तो मैं सिर्फ कलकत्ता का बात करूँ, पूरा वेस्ट बंगाल का तो छोड़ ही दो. पूरे कलकत्ता में ऑल द बेस्ट स्कूल्स आर क्रिश्चियन कॉन्वेंट स्कूल्स, बिकॉज द गवर्नमेंट स्कूल्स आर पैथेटिक. गवर्नमेंट स्कूल्स में सिर्फ लोगों को ये बताया जाता है कि तुम आए हो पढ़ाने के लिए, तुम्हारा नौकरी कभी नहीं जाएगा जिंदगी में. आ गए हो, अब जो पढ़ाना है पढ़ाओ, नहीं पढ़ाना है नहीं पढ़ाओ, गवर्नमेंट नौकरी मिल गया, अब क्या होगा. दैट्स वाई there's no options left for Bengali parents to send their kids, if they can afford it, to convent schools. राणा प्रजापति, अरे कंप्लेन कैसे करेगा, मैंने थोड़ी कंप्लेन किया, किसी को पता ही नहीं कि ये गलत है. हमारे पेरेंट्स तो खुद सेक्युलर्स है, वो लोग सोच रहे हैं अच्छा सिर्फ तो पूजा पद्धति में ही प्रॉब्लम है. आ फादर बोल रहा है तो हमारे आ फादर का जगह कोई भगवान, प्रजापति, ब्रह्मा, विष्णु, ये सब कम इमेजिन कर लेंगे, हो गया थियोरेटिकली. मैं काठा मांगा रहा हूँ, अगर कोई मारने आए ओ कट्ठा तो मार के मारूंगा. हाँ, ये सब यहाँ पे मत लिखो जेल जाओगे. अब वैसे तुम्हारा नाम ढूंढ के शायद मिलेगा भी नहीं किसी को. But anyway, remember, it's not a coincidence that that convent schools keep propping up nationalists from time to time, whereas madrasas prop up no nationalists ever. Abhinag, yes. Madrasa and missionary school cannot be compared. Yes, cannot be compared because they are different. But that doesn't mean subtle embedding of anti-Hindu ideas are not done in missionary schools. For example, I was not allowed to wear any Hindu symbols. Okay. Let me tell you my counter to this. My counter to this is that whatever quote-unquote anti-Hindu things you are going to learn subtly in convent schools, those are the core cultural ethos of any secular governmental institution of the country. तुम जुडिशियरी का बात करो, लॉ कोर्ट का बात करो, यूनिवर्सिटीज का बात करो, प्रेसिडेंसी, जेयू और एनी मतलब कल्चरल क्लब्स वगैरह, all those places are generally anti-Hindu already. So why shouldn't I credit convent schools for creating nationalists then? Our Father, yeah, our Father. Our Father nahi, our Father thou art in heaven. देखो, they don't even care that you don't know the prayer properly, right? It's not like you are forced and beaten up to mug it. वो होता है मद्रासा में. I used to say the prayer wrong for the first 3 years of my life. For the first 3 years in my school. Not really, brother. BD Memorial, Kendriya Vidyalaya are good schools. Kendriya Vidyalaya is one. And उसमें admission मिलने के लिए क्या क्या करना पड़ता है सोचो. और BD Memorial, how good do you think BD Memorial really is? Do you think it's a great school? Maybe in 11-12. नीचे का 7-8 तक जो लोग सिर्फ BD Memorial में पढ़े हैं, उनको बिठाओ कोई क्लास 7-8 के स्टूडेंट से और दूसरे स्कूलों से, ठीक है, कोई एकेडमिक कंपटीशन में, कुछ नहीं कर पाएंगे. आई एम फ्रस्ट्रेटेड विद डिस्कोर्स, ऑफ कोर्स. Nobody had faith in the Muslim League on the matter. Secondly, anti-Muslim League political parties aligned. हाँ, ठीक है, हो गया. अच्छा. Thirdly, the influential Sunni ulema at the forefront of the Madhe Sahaba agitation were firm supporters of the Congress. Thus, Hussain Ahmed Madni, principal of the Deoband school and a prominent Congress supporter, declared that recitation of the Madhe Sahaba was a fundamental religious right and openly advised Sunnis to carry on a peaceful struggle till their demands were fully met. ये मदनी से याद आया, ये मेदिनीपुर नाम का जो डिस्ट्रिक्ट है बंगाल में, do you know it's named after a Muslim scholar called something Madni? Not this Madni, something other Madni, जिसको औरंगजेब ने जमीन दिया था गांव बसाने के लिए, because he was such a big Islamic scholar. उसके नाम से वो मदनीपुर नाम था, वो डिस्टॉर्ट होते होते मेदिनीपुर बन गया. अच्छा, हाँ, अभी why didn't you complain about it to your parents? क्रिश्चियन प्रेयर का समझाओ अब. अच्छा, peaceful struggle. Furthermore, the ulema of the Firangi Mahal and Farghania, two important religious seminaries with Muslim League sympathies, backed the movement by issuing a joint manifesto in which they stated that under no circumstances could the abuse of their caliphs be tolerated and asked the government to stop any recitation of Tabarra. What was perhaps more alarming for the Muslim League was the fact that Zafrul Mulk had participated as a delegate at the All India Congress Committee annual session at Haripura in 1938. Zafrul Mulk was also supposed to have spent a considerable amount of time with Mahatma Gandhi at Wardha Ashram. Matters were made worse for the Muslim League by the fact that Sunnis in Lucknow showed themselves to be as keen as the Shias to enlist Hindu sympathy. अच्छा, अब Sunnis को Hindu sympathy चाहिए. Thus, when a dead pig was found in Lucknow's Nadan Mahal Mosque, the Sunnis claimed that this was not the work of the Hindus but an underhand Shia tactic in order to cause a Sunni Hindu riot and weaken the Madhe Sahaba movement. Okay, अब सुन्नी बोल रहा है कि Shias are trying to create enmity between us and Hindus. We don't have any enmity with Hindus. What a crazy time in Indian politics. The Muslim League's efforts to attract Sunnis to their camp in Lucknow were also rebuffed. Thus, when the party, Muslim League, organized a meeting in Lucknow to commemorate the anniversary of the death of Caliph Omar, it was disrupted by hecklers in the crowd who accused it of being in cahoots with the Shias, leading to some loss of prestige for the Muslim League among the local Sunnis. Binay Singh, acha. Rohani Singh, I'm from East Midnipur. Yes, that's called Madnipur. Binay Singh, they are blaming Bihari that they burned madrasa, but in reality Muslims burned their own madrasa so that they get sympathy. Yes, ये पहले भी हो चुका है. Stay safe there, Kashmir Pandit scenario is reloading. I think so, yes. Abhinag, whatever, I left school long time back and I only remember Hanuman Chalisa. Yes, good. But your school deserves some credit, okay? Because lesser of two evils है ना. बंगाल में प्रॉब्लम क्या है? अच्छे वाले लोग तो पावर में नहीं आएंगे. ईवल और ईवल में खेला चल रहा है, तो हम थोड़ा लेसर ऑफ टू इवल्स खेलते हैं, क्या करें? और वैसे भी नो वन इज गोइंग टू लिसन टू अस इन दिस लाइव स्ट्रीम. नो, आई एम जस्ट पुटिंग आउट एन आइडिया. बट रिमेंबर दिस, दैट नेशनलिस्ट डू कम आउट फ्रॉम कॉन्वेंट स्कूल्स फ्रॉम टाइम टू टाइम, एंड इफ दिस इज गोइंग ऑन अमंग द माइनॉरिटी इंस्टीट्यूशंस. तुम न्यू बुद्धिस्ट के बारे में सोचो, कितने न्यू बुद्धिस्ट नेशनलिस्ट हैं? कितने मद्रासाज में नेशनलिस्ट तैयार हुए हैं? नन. Why is it that only convent schools are creating nationalists? और वैसे भी बाकी स्कूल से भी तो नेशनलिस्ट नहीं निकले हैं ना बंगाल में. ऐसा नहीं है कि schools are creating nationalists, right? Anyone who is a nationalist in Bengal is not nationalist because of their schools. You'll agree that much. So in that sense, you don't have to give credit to convent. But I am saying your potential to be a nationalist वो छीना जाता है मदरसाज में. वो छीना नहीं गया तुमसे कॉन्वेंट में. वो अलग दूसरे स्कूल्स में छीना नहीं जाता है. छीना जाता है जितना हर पूरे इंडिया में छीना जाता है उतना ही, कि वो मतलब सिलेबस में पढ़ाया गया कि मुगल्स बड़े आदमी थे. उससे ज़्यादा एक्स्ट्रा कुछ लेयर कॉन्वेंट कॉन्शियसली नहीं किया गया तुम्हारे साथ, जिससे कि तुम कभी भी नेशनलिस्ट नहीं बन पाओ. दैट्स व्हाट आई एम सेइंग. आई एम सेइंग इक्वेट कॉन्वेंट स्कूल्स विथ एनी अदर स्कूल्स ऑफ द कंट्री. दे आर एज एंटी हिंदू and as much they have a potential to create nationalists as any other school. Abhi the Madni surname means someone from Medina, yes, and this person also have a mazar dargah in Medinipur city, if I am not wrong. Rohan Shatra can only clarify this, yes, but not this particular Madni, a different Madni. Niner, are there any Arya Samaji schools in Bengal? I've never heard of it. My school is Brahma Samaji. In North India, other places I see they are almost always most nationalist. तो आर्य समाज बंगाल में है भी नहीं, ये पता नहीं है मुझे. ब्राह्मण समाज इज मोस्टली फेमस इन बंगाल बिकॉज ऑफ रविन्द्रनाथ फैमिलीज लेगेसी. मेरे स्कूल में एक बार शाइनी घोष मेरे स्कूल में पढ़ती थी, तो उसने एक बार स्कूल में बोला कि हम सरस्वती पूजा करेंगे स्कूल में. तो our principal said that no, it's not going to happen. It's a Brahma Samaj school. We can't do idol worship. So the Muslim League sought to keep its Sunni base intact by stressing the need for Muslim unity. In this regard, it skillfully utilized issues affecting Muslims in their localities, in their localities, along with issues impinging upon them at the provincial and national level, with some success. At Muslim League meetings in Kanpur and Barabanki, it was alleged that the Congress furtively stoked Shia Sunni riots in order to sow divisions within the QAM. Since the वो Muslim minority वो term भूल गया, MMCP का कल क्या term था, some Muslim outreach program of Congress that had failed. In Muzaffarnagar, the lack of Muslims in the local Gram Sudhar committee and dismissal of Muslim sub-inspectors for their participation in a strike were cited as instances of government vindictiveness towards the Muslims. In Kanpur, it was alleged that Hindus were aiming to set up Ram Raj and treat Muslims as quote-unquote worse than untouchables. At Badayun, the Muslim League alleged that Sampurnanand, the education minister, had declared Sanskrit as India's national language. At Fatehpur, local Muslim League members accused the local district board of financing Hindu schools to the exclusion of Muslim institutions. It was also alleged that Muslim boys had been prohibited from saying their prayers at the government school. In Banaras, Gandhi's charkha and khadi were portrayed as having thrown 4.5 crore Muslim weavers out of work. कुछ भी दिमाग में आया बोलता जा रहा है, ठीक है. मुस्लिम लीग फ्रस्ट्रेटेड हो गया, डेस्परेट हो गया. The Muslim League organized memorials all over the UP on the first anniversary of Tanada firings by the police to avert a communal riot in which several Muslims were killed. The Muslim League also criticized the Congress's tenancy bill in the legislature, alleging that the contemplated changes would affect Muslim warasat law. वारासत से ही बारासात का नाम आया क्या बंगाल में? और एक बात देखो, ये कितना अच्छा पॉलिटिकल आइडिया है कि commemorating a genocide or a police firing. So we should always do some memorial procession of some sort whenever anywhere Hindus have been slaughtered. मोपला हो गया, वो गुजरात के दंगे में 250 हिंदूज का डेथ हो, मुलायम सिंह के हाथों 11 कर सेवकों का गोली से उड़ा देना हो, एनीवेयर, आनंद मार्गी, वो सब डेट्स में बीजेपी को प्रोसेशन निकालना चाहिए. ये सब करने का किसी का दिमाग में आता नहीं है तो क्या करे. It declared that Muslims could never accept the tenancy bill as it was based on Hindu law, वो वारसत लॉ, जहां से वारिस का वर्ड आया है उर्दू का. On the issue of Palestine, the Muslim League alleged that the British government and the Congress had entered a conspiracy, according to which the British government would give Congress a free hand to oppress the Indian Muslims if it did not interfere with British repression of the Palestinian Arabs. Schemes for Pakistan were also condemned. Schemes for Pakistan were also commended by Muslim League speakers in a few places. Finally, the Muslim League continued its relentless campaign against the Congress on the familiar issues of communal riots in UP, the threat to Muslim lives and property, Vande Mataram, the Wardha scheme of education and discrimination of Urdu. ये सब कुछ उनका agitation का कारण बन गया. Let's see some comments. Nina is saying, damn, I thought Brahmo Samaj was a dead religion. I'm surprised there are still followers of it. Yes. Kolkata is a mini Pakistan. Khidirpur in Kolkata is a mini Pakistan. Yes, Firad Hakim himself said it. Vinay Singh is saying, news channel like Lalan Top gets huge support when they say these riots are created by politics. Yes. Lalan Top is very anti-Hindu. They have done this many times now. Khidirpur has a big Jagannath temple near railway station. Are baapre. Khidirpur is full of Muslims. Yes, obviously. There is a Arya Vidya Mandir in Khidirpur, but it's really in poor condition. Yeah. After Mednipur district got divided, that Dargah is in West Midnapur district, as far as I remember. I see. Vinay Singh is saying, most of the Hindu yatra require huge money, as now many Hindus don't consider a good job. Yeah. Okay. In spite of this vigorous campaign of Muslim League, there appears to have been a slight dip in the enthusiasm for the Muslim League among the UP Muslims. Okay. UP Muslim League में disillusionment हो रहा है. Because the party's annual session held in December 1938 at Patna failed to evoke much response in UP. As Sir Harry Haig, the UP governor, wrote to the viceroy, wrote on, अच्छा एक मिनट, sentence क्या था last? अच्छा, Harry Haig ने लिखा कि wrote to the viceroy, perhaps I have overestimated the importance of the speeches and resolutions of the Muslim League conference at Patna. During my tours in the eastern districts, I questioned a number of district officers and superintendents of police as to whether this conference had any effect on the communal situation. They all told me it had not, and in this part of the province, at any rate, they do not seem apprehensive about trouble at Bakrid. Okay, now next chapter, the crescendo of the Madhe Sahaba movement. अब ये जाके पूरा फटने वाला है. अभिनव is saying, shiny ghosh. এটা কি শুনলাম আমি, দাঁড়াও একটু শুদ্ধি হোক আমার কানে, শ্রীরাম জানকি বেঠে মেরে সিনে. Yeah, so you see what you are accusing convent schools of doing, you can say that's been the same case even in our school, right? Because Shiny Ghosh, who wanted to do a Saraswati Puja when she was in school, and when she comes from a family of Kali Bhakts, they have a huge Kali Puja every year as a family legacy. That person was doing anti-Hindu things on Twitter. ठीक है, ये जो disconnect है, ये कैसे हो रहा है? ये तो convent schools की वजह से नहीं हो रहा है. She did not study in a convent school. That's the general tone of any ICSE board schools anyway. Okay, तो इसके लिए अलग से convent schools को कैसे गाली दे? But Lalan Top gets huge viewership support by Hindu only. How do you know it's by Hindu viewers? मुस्लिम्स का नंबर्स बहुत ज़्यादा है इंडिया में, और वो भी जो जिनको हिंदी समझ में आता है, दे लिसन टू लल्लन टॉप. The crescendo of the Madhe Sahaba movement. The Shia Sunni tensions peaked in the spring of 1939 as Sunnis piled pressure on the government for permission to recite Madhe Sahaba during Muharram. They were incensed. They were angry that even though the right to publicly recite Madhe Sahaba had been acknowledged by the government through 2 official communiques, permission had been withheld on the grounds of a worsening law and order situation. Zafrul Mulk and Abdul Shakur now restarted the Sunni civil disobedience movement by reciting Madhe Sahaba with their followers, and were consequently arrested in Lucknow. Zafrul Mulk also printed and circulated an appeal to Sunnis all over India to support the movement. In response, Sunni bands began to pour into Lucknow from different parts of the UP, other provinces in British India, as well as the native states. By the beginning of April 1939, interest in Madhe Sahaba agitation was reported from 22 out of the 48 districts in the UP. मुन्ने सिंह सिंह नॉन मुस्लिम को जान तो प्यारी है ना, वाई नॉट दे क्रिएट ह्यूज वॉइस. अरे जान प्यारी है, समझ में आने के लिए एडुकेशन ज़रूरी है, फिर जान प्यारी है इसके लिए कुछ करने के लिए ऐसे स्टेट में रहना है जहाँ के सेफ्टी हो. बहुत बहुत से लेयर्स है. The government responded by granting Sunnis permission to have a Madhe Sahaba procession during Bada Wafat. This was seen as a major Sunni victory since it broke a 30-year practice of not allowing processions where Madhe Sahaba would be recited. अच्छा, जो बैंडेड 1906 में दिया था वो बैंडेड भी अब उठा दे रहा है. ठीक है, कि देखो कितना दिमाग वाला है ये सब लोग. The event passed off peacefully due to heavy police बंदोबस्त, quote unquote बंदोबस्त. But Shia resentment at such a major concession only increased tensions. जैसे कि टुमारो भी कल भी होगा, हनुमान जयंती में शायद वायलेंस नहीं होगा क्योंकि पैरामिलिट्री फोर्स रहेगा. An open letter to the Mahatma published in the Shia newspaper The Moonlight reflected their resentment at the government's capitulation. So Shias now are appealing to Mahatma. देखिए ना अंकल क्या कर दिया. The question for you Mahatma ji to answer is whether the Congress is prepared to give its seal of approval to the conduct of the UP government, which has for all practical purposes substituted expediency मतलब बैंडेड लगाना in place of justice, equity and fairness. Fairness again undefined term, ठीक है, undefined term से दूर रहो. Are we to believe that the UP government has become so demoralized and so cowardly that it has no regard for honesty and truth? Are we to understand that while you were prepared yourself to starve yourself to death because the ruler of Rajkot broke his promise, you will not take the trouble to point out to the UP government that how unmanly, unjust, partial, how immoral their conduct has been in the connection with the Madhe Sahaba procession? Madhe Sahaba agitation. Will you permit the UP government to wantonly disregard the decision of a judicial committee and to ride roughshod over the civic and religious rights of the Shia community? Let me tell you, ये गांधी जी को बोल रहा है, ठीक है, लेटर में. Let me tell you, however, that if your answers to these questions are halting and indecisive, then you have no right to call the bureaucratic government satanic. Your own Congress government does not seem to be less satanic. In fact, it is much worse for the obvious reason that its predecessor bureaucratic government seldom, if ever, yielded to outside pressure or influence. अच्छा, इसके पहले जो गवर्नमेंट था वो तो एटलीस्ट आउटसाइड प्रेशर्स के सामने बकल नहीं करता था, ये तो वो भी कर रहा है. It had its own definite policy. It has its own moral code which it never failed to follow. अब तुम लोग बैंडेड वाला सरकार क्यों लाए, ये बोला जा रहा है शियाज की तरफ से गांधी जी को. Remember Mahatma ji, you and the Congress are taking their trial before the bar of Shia opinion. The government's refusal to grant corresponding rights to recite Tabarra was attacked as patent lack of equity or justice. An editorial in the Moonlight sought to refute the idea that Madhe Sahaba was harmless while Tabarra was abuse, as was being put out by Sunni propagandists. The root meaning of Tabarra, it noted, was staying aloof, while with regard to the 3 caliphs, it meant that the Shias did not recognize them as spiritual leaders. Tabarra was an article of faith with the Shias, and a number of traditions could be quoted to prove that it was enjoined upon them. Madhe Sahaba, by contrast, the editorial pointed out, was neither an article of faith with the Sunnis nor was it enjoined upon them by any tradition. It was in fact biddat or innovation. Tabarra was similar to lanat or the calling of imprecations. No Muslim could call lanat abuse. As the editorial noted, no Musalman has said that the Quran is full of abuse because in it we find that God has cursed the liar, the tyrants, the murderers, the non-believers, etc., etc. There are traditions to the effect that the Prophet in his time has cursed people by their names like Ibn Ubayd and other munfiqs. The Shias unanimously believe that it is open to them and even virtuous to pray to God that he may keep some persons away from his mercy, which is the real meaning of lanat, if they are tyrants, murderers or non-believers. Non-believers matlab Hindu. To therefore term Tabarra as abuse was nothing short of an abuse of Islam, an abuse of the Quran and the abuse of Mohammedan law. Tabarra was further acclaimed as an example of Shia use of rational analysis and critical judgment. The Sunnis, by contrast, it was pointed out that Sunnis, by contrast, were prevented from the use of rational judgment and critique of the caliphs, as it was forbidden to them under the doctrine of kafe lisan, or the shutting of one's mouth. The Shias, the paper suggested, could not be expected to remain blind and dumb where the companions of the Prophet were concerned. Finally, the Shia right to criticize the caliphs was defended on the grounds that there was no defamation of the dead in criminal law. It was argued that if such were the case, no history could ever be written. Criticizing the Congress government for upholding Hanfi notions of justice instead of the law of the land, the editorial defiantly concluded that if one community has the right of calling unrighteous, can you see how relevant this is, what they are saying? Listen to this portion once again. The Shias are saying that the paper suggested that the Shias could not be expected to remain blind and dumb where the companions of the Prophet were concerned. Finally, the Shia right to criticize the caliphs was defended on the grounds that there was no defamation of the dead in criminal law. Criminal law में ऐसा कोई प्राविधान नहीं है, ऐसा कोई provision नहीं है which suggests that you are defaming a person once they are dead. अगर डेड है कोई, उसके बारे में हिस्ट्री जैसे हम लिखते हैं, उसके अगेंस्ट जैसे हम खराब चीजें बोल सकते हैं, इन द सेम वे दिस कैन नॉट बी काउंटेड एज डिफेमेशन व्हाट वी आर डूइंग. ओके, दैट आल्सो गिव्स us Hindus the argument that why can't we then criticize Muslim kings? If they are dead, there can't be any defamation. And this is the argument presented by Shias, okay? Criticizing the Congress government for upholding Hanfi notions of justice instead of the law of the land. They are saying that अरे law तो है, law ठीक से follow करो. अभी कहीं पे ये Hanfi law follow करके bandit क्यों लगा रहे हो? Then the other community has the right of calling a spade and thus save its ignorant masses from being taken by the Madha Sahaba propaganda. If you are doing that, then we have the right. Yeah, Muslim wala millat times. Yeah, be a conscious citizen or get ready to destroy. How you control your anger? You are wrong. Many Hindu watch Lallan Top. See the comment section. अरे कमेंट हिंदूज करते हैं क्योंकि बाकी लोगों को तो उर्दू में कमेंट करना है, वहां पे वो टाइप नहीं कर पाएंगे, टाइप करेंगे भी कोई समझ नहीं पाएगा, इसलिए मैनी हिंदूज का वैसे भी मैनी हिंदूज लिख भी सकते हैं, हिंदी सबको ही आता है और हिंदू नाम से यूट्यूब चैनल भी कोई भी खोल सकता है. फेक प्रोफाइल इज द प्रोपेगेंडा ऑफ एनी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी. देयर इज अ सिग्निफिकेंट शिया पॉपुलेशन इन मेटियाबुरुज बिकॉज ऑफ नवाब वाजिद अली शाह. यस, एंड हु इज आल्सो कंसीडर्ड एज अ सेक्युलर हीरो. पोएट्री करता था बड़ा. Get martial art training. Yes, I keep saying that. MMA and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu should be learned by everyone for even maintenance of basic health. Shia's threatened to court arrest. Acha. As the Shia agitation gained momentum, prominent Shia figures in the UP now began to court arrest by reciting Tabarra. These included Syed Ali Zahir, the newly elected MLA from Allahabad Jaunpur, the princes of the royal family of Awadh, the son of Maulana Nasir, a respected Shia mujtahid, and the brothers of both the Rajas of Salempur and Pirpur. It was believed that Maulana Nasir himself, besides top-ranking Muslim League leaders such as Mahmudabad and Pirpur, would together court arrest, a development that could have a very bad effect on the league. Furthermore, Parda ladies among the Shias threatened to court arrest कि हमको अरेस्ट कर लो, हमको कुछ आता जाता ही नहीं है, in an effort to embarrass the government. More importantly, The Tabarra agitation attracted attention from other parts of India as Shias across the country sought to express solidarity with their UP counterparts, who were numerically dwarfed by the Sunnis. Shia bands came into Lucknow from the districts of Darbhanga, Munger, Saran, Patna, Chhapra in Bihar, from Bombay City, Pune, Bhusawal in Bombay Province, from Panipat, Karnal, Ambala, Jalandhar, Rawalpindi, Lahore, Sialkot, Multan, Firozpur, Amritsar, Gurdaspur and Ludhiana in the Punjab, from Kohat and Bankash in Northwest Frontier Province, from the provinces of Assam and Bengal, and finally from the capital Delhi. They also came from the native states of Kashmir, Gwalior, Bharatpur, Jaipur, Bhawalpur, Rampur and Malarkotla. Several hundred Shias courted arrest every week during the months of April and May 1939. All of them are joining in one place to give counter to Sunnis. Okay, Rana Prajapati Singh in Raja Bazar and Bilgachia too, Muslims are there at huge, yes. Abhinagi Singh, the Nawab of Awadh, Wajid Ali Shah, was exiled in Metiabruz, South 24 Parganas. Yeah, I see. So was he the one who used to write poetry? As the Tabarra agitation spread, attracting volunteers from different parts of India, its control slipped into the hands of the Punjabi Shias, who, as Haig pointed out, were not as inclined to conduct the agitation in the gentlemanly manner of the Lucknow Shias. Public functions of government ministers such as G.B. Pant and Vijayalakshmi Pandit were disrupted, and filthy abuse heaped upon them by Punjabi Shias. A parliamentary secretary, Gopinath Srivastava, while visiting Agra jail to inquire into conditions under which prisoners were being held, was abused and assaulted by Shia prisoners. The jails in UP were already full to capacity and overflowing, as several thousands from both sides courted arrest. सब बोल रहा है कि हमको arrest कर लो. अजीब बात है. The government now began to plan on setting up jail camps to handle the ever-increasing volume of detentions. The UP government also approached the Punjab and Northwest Frontier Province, Afghanistan वाला governments, to stop the departure of Shia bands. अच्छा, अब ये लोग बोल रहे हैं कि अब उनका वहाँ से बाहर निकलना बंद कर दो ताकि वो लोग यहाँ पे ना आ पाए. Punjab and Northwest Frontier governments to stop the departure of Shia bands headed for the UP, and these requests were readily granted. In late March 1939, 4,000 Shias and 15,000 Sunnis brick-batted each other. Suna number. In 1939, Muslim League is mute spectator. 4,000 Shias and 15,000 Sunnis brick-batted each other near the Asafuddollah Imambara in Lucknow, but a major riot, which may have resulted in heavy casualties, was averted by the police by firing several volleys into the air. अब हमको ये बताओ कि 1939 में जबकि 15,000 सुन्नी 4,000 शिया के साथ मारपीट कर रहे हैं, ये लोग एक साथ मिलके 47 में कैसे देश बना लिए? What did they do? That we have to learn and we have to explore this further. कि आज तक ऐसे अचानक इतना यूनाइटेड होने का नाटक कैसे कर रहे हैं? Brick-batted each other near the Asafuddollah Imambara in Lucknow, but a major riot, which में ये avert हो गया, by breaking through the police barrier. In the following month, Sunni demonstrators stormed into the Legislative Assembly in Lucknow by breaking through the police barrier and disrupting its proceedings, seriously embarrassing the government. Binay Singh is saying India will fall from within. We need someone like Stalin or Xi Jinping. No, we don't need anyone like that, because तब वो आदमी अगर थोड़ा इडियट निकला स्टालिन के जैसे ही, स्टालिन के बाद सोवियत यूनियन ने क्या उखाड़ लिया? ठीक है, सोवियत यूनियन तो गया ना गड्ढे में. शी जिनपिंग ने चाइना को गड्ढे में लिया ना, तो इंडिया भी गड्ढे में जाएगा बाई चांस अगर थोड़ा ऊंच नीच हो गया उसके इंटेलिजेंस में, और या फिर उसके बाद जो आएगा उसके इंटेलिजेंस में हो गया काम. तब if the UP government was deeply concerned about the deteriorating law and order situation, the Muslim League watched the political scene with a mixture of apprehension and helplessness as the conflict spread not only to other districts of the Uttar Pradesh United Provinces, but also involved Shias and Sunnis from different parts of India. The UP Muslim League leadership now implored Jinnah to make a decisive intervention. Some members of the Muslim League's Allahabad unit sent a plea to Jinnah to go on a fast unto death. Jinnah को fast unto death करने को बोला. Like Mahatma Gandhi, in order to force Shias and Sunnis to come to a settlement. ये तो नहीं हो पाएगा उससे. A desperate Mahmudabad, Pirpur and Ismail Khan telegraphed Jinnah with a fervent message. For God's sake, come, critical moment for Muslims. Similarly, urgent messages were sent to Jinnah from other parts of the country. Jinnah, however, refused to take a stand on the issue or come to Lucknow. देखो, Jinnah भाग गया यहाँ से. This was because, as Sir Raza Ali wrote, if the League took cognizance of the matter and if its decision failed to find the acceptance of the Sunnis and Shias of Lucknow, it would deal a death blow at the League. However, Raza Ali also feared that unless UP Muslim League leaders intervened at least in their personal capacity, the Muslim community would split into two parties on sectarian grounds, which will paralyze our political activities for many years to come. तो अब तुम सोचो कि मुस्लिम लीग का पार्टीशन होना चाहिए कि मुस्लिम कम्युनिटी का पार्टीशन होना, कौन सा एक्सेप्ट करोगे तुम? Jinnah, however, threatened to expel any Muslim League member who dared to intervene in the matter and make the Muslim League a party in the conflict. He said non-aligned. Khaliquzzaman, the Muslim League party leader in the UP Assembly, echoed Jinnah's views, stating that the League had kept itself aloof and did not take any initiative in order to settle the matter and would maintain the same attitude to the problem. This stand invited ridicule coming from an organization that styled itself as the sole and authoritative representative of the Indian Muslims. As Haig wrote to the Viceroy of Delhi that it is interesting to observe the powerlessness of the Muslim League to bring about a settlement between two sections of their own supporters. It seems to me that the Muslim League, like the Congress in the past, is really strong only in opposition. When faced with the necessity for positive action and policy, it seems to be unable to secure agreement and has no adequate leadership. Okay. Binay Singh is saying, do you think if China conquered India, will they save Hindu as we are culturally similar? कहाँ पे कल्चरली सिमिलर चाइना और इंडिया का जो कल्चरली सिमिलरिटी था वो सब कम्युनिस्ट के आने से पहले था. वो सिमिलरिटी कम्युनिस्ट ने खत्म कर दिया. विनय सिंह इज सेइंग जी जिनपिंग इज नेशनलिस्ट, ही सेव चाइना फ्रॉम टेररिज्म ऑफ उइगुर मुस्लिम. नहीं, ये सब वो सोच रहा है कि वो चाइना को बचा लिया. देखो, टेररिज्म एक तरह का तो नहीं होता है. सिर्फ उइगुर मुस्लिम का थ्रेट हैंडल कर लिया तो क्या उखाड़ लिया, बाकी सब थ्रेट्स का क्या होगा? यूएसए का थ्रेट का क्या होगा? हाँ, इकोनॉमिक थ्रेट का क्या होगा? एजिंग पॉपुलेशन का थ्रेट का क्या होगा? उस सब में वो एकदम मतलब, आज मैं गाली नहीं देना चाहता, इसलिए आई कांट से अ लॉट ऑफ नाइस वर्ड्स. अगर ही इज डम्ब, ओके, ही कांट मैनेज अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स एंड ही इज बेसिकली अ पावरफुल लीडर के पावर में जो होगा वो कर पाएगा. सब चीज़ तो पावर से सॉल्व नहीं होता है. कुछ चीज़ों के लिए दिमाग लगता है, इंटेलिजेंस लगता है, पढ़ाई लगता है. वो सब जी जिनपिंग के पास नहीं है. वो सब हमारे जयशंकर के पास है, मोदी के पास है, हमारे गवर्नेंस मॉडल में है. वो सब हमारा बहुत प्रॉब्लम्स है जो हम सॉल्व नहीं कर पा रहे हैं, हमारा बहुत प्रॉब्लम्स है जो हम सॉल्व कर पा रहे हैं. सेम चीज़ चाइना का है. चाइना का बहुत प्रॉब्लम्स में वो लोग आगे निकल चुके हैं, बहुत सा प्रॉब्लम्स वो भी सॉल्व नहीं कर पाएंगे. एक उइगुर मुस्लिम सॉल्व कर लिया तो क्या हो गया? Mahmudabad tried to intervene in the dispute in his personal capacity, but could not make much headway. The Nizam of Hyderabad, the ruler of the largest native state, was alarmed enough with the existing state of affairs to send a telegram to the Viceroy. The Nizam expressed fears that the problem, quote, if not taken in hand quickly, may lead to many complications, or also it is possible that it will not be limited to one place but may become an all-India question later on. The Nizam beseeched the Viceroy to use his influence to resolve the matter, which he saw as having the same potential as the Kanpur mosque affair. With Jinnah refusing to intervene, 22 prominent Muslim leaders belonging to all political parties, including Muslim League premiers सिकंदर हयात खान and फजलुल हक. अच्छा, ये एक फजलुल हक को शेर बांग्ला बोला जाता है बांग्लादेश में. ये आशुतोष मुखर्जी का फर्स्ट मुस्लिम इंटर्न जैसा कुछ था. मतलब he was his first big Muslim student or employee or something like that in his law firm, in legal practice, and he saw Fazlul Haq as another son. Shama Prasad Mukherjee or Fazlul Haq, both were treated like a son. Shama Prasad Mukherjee was actually Ashutosh Mukherjee's son, but Fazlul Haq was basically you can say maybe friends with Shama Prasad Mukherjee, because Shama Prasad Mukherjee's father used to look at Fazlul Haq as a son. And फजलुल हक जब बंगाल का प्रीमियर बना, तब प्रीमियर बोला जाता था, बंगाल रीजन का जो हेड होता था, प्राइम मिनिस्टर, चीफ मिनिस्टर या जो भी हो, प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफ बंगाल जब बना, तब उस गवर्नमेंट में ही श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी वाज अ मिनिस्टर इन हिज कैबिनेट. तो including Muslim League Premier Sikandar Hayat Khan and Fazlul Haq met at Shimla and issued an appeal to Shias and Sunnis to renounce Madhe Sahaba and Tabarra in order to pave the way for an honorable settlement. Maulana Abul Kalam Azad issued a similar statement, but these appeals were derisively rejected by Zafrul Mulk, who responded stating that the Sunnis of Lucknow cannot even for a moment tolerate that the Mahdi Sahaba and Tabarra should be placed on an equal footing. The main object of the Shias in opposing the Mahdi Sahaba procession is that they are fully alive to the fact that if it is allowed to gain ground, the Sunni masses will in course of time become proof against the lure of Taziyadari, and the door of proselytization of Shiaism will be effectively closed. The superior organization of the Shias, backed by their wealth and propaganda, can neither prevail upon the Sunnis to give up their religious and civil rights, nor induce them to accept the dictum of an Al-Sab committee wala or any other misinformed gentleman that the right of praise and the license to curse can at any stage become analogous and interchangeable. Dekho Shias ka stand, Sunnis ka stand. They are also afraid that Shias are doing too much proselytization amongst their ranks and taking away people from their their rank. By the middle of the summer though, as Harry Haig, the governor of UP, wrote to the viceroy, fatigue was beginning to set in on all sides, raising hopes of a settlement. However, as Haig added, but whenever the movement looks like dying down from natural causes, we can depend on our neighbors to galvanize it once more into action. And the latest threat comes from the Khaksars, who have been for some time proclaiming ultimatums that they intend to come to Lucknow and stop the dispute by force. अचानक से ये खक्सर ग्रुप आ गया है जिसका लीडर आके बोल रहा है कि अरे तुम मारपीट बंद नहीं करोगे तो मैं तुम्हें मार डालूंगा. ये अजीब एक डिस्कोर्स तैयार हुआ. अब हम खक्सर के बारे में पढ़ेंगे और एक दो ही पेज बाकी है. देख लेते हैं कितना बाकी है. ये जगह बहुत मजेदार है. Let's see how much is left. नहीं तो ये कंक्लूजन. हाँ, इतना तो हो ही जाएगा आज. ठीक है. Khaksar intervention and final denouement. Okay, let's see the comments. Vinay Singh is saying de-dollarization is happening. De-dollarization तो हाँ होगा, वो जी के बिना भी होगा, उसके लेकर भी होगा. चाइना हैज ग्रेट एआई सिस्टम. हाँ, हमारा एआई सिस्टम रोकने में किसने रोका है? एआई सिस्टम के लिए तो डिक्टेटरशिप नहीं चाहिए ना. एंड प्रोड्यूसिंग मोर पैटेंट देन इंडिया. हाँ, क्योंकि उसका अरे पैटेंट बनाने के लिए तो चोरी करना जरूरी है. उन लोगों ने चोरी किया है इतना दिन. आर यू सजेस्टिंग दैट वी शुड ऑल्सो बिकम इंटेलेक्चुअल थीव्स लाइक चाइनाज कॉमीज? ऐसा तो नहीं है ना. नहीं तो हिंदू राष्ट्र का मतलब क्या है? अगर हम इथोस से एथिकली मॉरली भी हिंदूज नहीं रहे तो हम किस लिए हिंदू राष्ट्र बने? तो चोरी करना cannot be justified. They have stolen every damn idea produced by Americans and they have made their own variations of it. पैटेंट सबसे ज्यादा वहां से आता है, सबसे ज्यादा उनका पॉपुलेशन है, इसलिए पैटेंट भी इंडिया से ही आने लगेगा. रुको थोड़ा. इंडिया को हैंडीकैप किया गया था पहले 1991 तक और फिर इन मेनी वेज 2014 तक. हैंडीकैप अभी खुला है. रुको 5-10 साल. Abhinag is saying the fight seems to be between all Ashrafs. All surnames I see in the fight are Qurayshis, Mirza, Saids, Khan, etc. Yes, no Pasmandas were involved. They are only for doing the riots on the ground level. Marenge wo. Abhinay Singh is an Indian dictator will not be Hitler or Stalin or Xi Jinping. Nationalism of India will never turn to Jingoism as we have a spiritual code. Are spiritual Muslims are and Muslim and Quran is Quran. देखो तुम समझ रहे हो कि हमेशा ही हिंदू इथोस वाला लोग आदमी डिक्टेटर बनेगा, ठीक है? और हिंदू इथोस होने से भी उसका दिमाग ठिकाने पे होगा, इसका क्या गारंटी है? आर यू सेइंग ऑल हिंदू लीडर्स आर द सेम? व्हाई देन आर द देखो, हम मोदी के अलावा जिन 3 लोगों का नाम लेते हैं एज फ्यूचर प्राइम मिनिस्टर्स, वो सब के सब बीजेपी से नहीं आए हैं. ऐसे हुआ? ओके, इथोस का कंसेंसस कहीं पे नहीं है. हिमंत बिश्व शर्मा कांग्रेस का, एस जयशंकर पॉलिटिक्स में आया 3 साल पहले, योगी आदित्यनाथ बीजेपी से बाहर का आदमी, ठीक है? फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल बीजेपी इज नॉट प्रोड्यूसिंग द एडिक्वेट लीडर्स जिनका स्किल भी है, विजडम भी है, हिंदू इथोस भी है. ऐसा कॉम्बिनेशन नहीं मिल रहा है. ऐसा कॉम्बिनेशन हमें इधर उधर रैंडमली मिल गया. योगी आदित्यनाथ में मिल गया, जयशंकर में मिल गया, हिमंत बिश्व शर्मा में मिल गया, मोदी में भी मिल गया थोड़ा बहुत. अब मोदी थोड़ा कॉम्प्रोमाइज कर रहा है तो क्या करे? अब नाम के हिंदू में जो इथोस तुम आशा करके बैठे हो कि अच्छा हिंदू नाम का है, डेफिनेटली वो डिक्टेटर बनेगा तो ठीक काम करेगा, ऐसा भरोसा करने का तुम्हारे पास कोई एविडेंस नहीं होगा. अभी नहीं है, कभी भी नहीं होगा, क्योंकि वो दिमाग से खिसका हुआ है कि नहीं है तुम्हें कैसे पता चलेगा? हाँ, नाम का हिंदू है, हाँ उसका शायद भगवत गीता उसका मतलब पूरा का पूरा मगअप किया हुआ होगा, मगर हाउ विल यू नो इट्स नॉट रावण, एंड हाउ डू यू नो इफ दैट पर्सन इज लाइक राम? रावण को भी सब ये सब हिंदू इथोस तो पता था ना. क्षमता क्षमता आने के बाद क्या किया? अगर रावण तुमको दिखा दे कि हाँ मैं अच्छा हिंदू लीडर हूं और पावर में आ जाए, डिक्टेटर बन जाए, तब क्या क्या करोगे? तो चांस ही मत छोड़ो. You are trying to create a situation which will work beautifully only if great people come to power. I am trying to create a I'm suggesting and recommending and defending a system where even if bad people come to power, only good things will be possible. Okay, which is why free markets work because they are dependent on profits. अमेरिका में खराब आदमी बुरा आदमी can only shift the discourse to this much. The basic discourse up till at least the Clinton era was mainly created by CIA and the core ethos of the country. All of them wanted war. ठीक है, अब जाके रैंडमली इधर उधर हो जा रहा है पूरा देश का पॉलिटिक्स. मगर जॉर्ज वॉशिंगटन, थॉमस जेफरसन ने ऐसे ये सोच के ही देश बनाया कि हमने तो ब्रिटिश को अभी लात मार के देश से निकाला है. नाउ वी डोंट वांट अ कंट्री वेयर द सेम थिंग इज पॉसिबल टू बी रिपीटेड. तो गवर्नमेंट को इतना पावर ही मत दो कि जो भी आए पावर में उसके अपने दिमाग की तरह काम करना शुरू कर दे. विच इज वट वी शुड हैव डन. वी डिड नॉट किक आउट द ब्रिटिश, वी मेड अ कॉम्प्रोमाइज विद ब्रिटिश, एंड दैट्स वाई वी हैड द सेम सिस्टम ऑफ द ब्रिटिश, वेर एनी वन हु कम्स टू पावर उसके विम्स के तरह से देश चलेगा. सिस्टम के विम्स के तरह देश चलना चाहिए, नॉट ऑन द पर्सन, क्योंकि द सिस्टम कैन बी हाईजैक्ड बाय अ बैड पर्सन. Abhinav, there used to be a strong Shia population in Dhaka once upon a time. There is a place called Hussaini Talan in Dhaka. I see. So if you want, you can elaborate more. That how do you think we can guarantee a very good Hindu person will become a dictator and he will do great things? And by dictator, I mean I'm not just afraid that if a Hindu dictator will come and kill all Muslims. वो chance तो है ही है, वो भी छोड़ो. Economic policy में भी. The only reason I'm 1% skeptical about Ekam Sanatan Bharat is because they have not declared the economic policies yet. If they are not fully pro free market, anti-reservation, everything, then I can't support that party. Because बहुत से हिंदुओं को लगता है कि अब अच्छा इतना सारा रिजर्वेशन इधर उधर हो रहा है, तो अब थोड़ा प्रो हिंदू कुछ रिजर्वेशंस, प्रो हिंदू अलग से पॉलिसीज भी तैयार करे. दैट विल बी द डेथ नेल टू प्रोग्रेस ऑफ एनी हिंदूज. जहां जहां एफर्मेटिव एक्शन रिजर्वेशन हुआ है, वहां वहां वो कम्युनिटी ध्वस्त हो गया है. ठीक है, रिजर्वेशन आया, कास्टिज्म खत्म हो गया, गरीब कास्टिज्म के विक्टिम्स का विक्टिमाइजेशन बंद हो गया, उनका गरीब रहना बंद हो गया. नहीं हुआ ना. एफर्मेटिव एक्शन हुआ यूएसए में, ब्लैक्स का हालत बहुत ठीक हो गया. नहीं हुआ. इस चीज़ों से नहीं होता है. दैट कम्युनिटी इंस्टेड बिकम्स मोर कंप्लेसेंट. हिंदूज का तो रिजर्वेशन है ही नहीं, उसमें भी कंप्लेसेंसी इतना दिखाते हैं. तो अगर कोई दिमाग का खिसका हुआ हिंदू डिक्टेटर आके प्रो हिंदू पॉलिसी बना दिया, तब हो गया. हिंदू कम्युनिटी विल बी डेसिमेटेड. हर जगह में एक्सेप्ट इंडिया, एवरीवेयर द माइनॉरिटी डज बेटर. In Southeast Asia, the Chinese do so well in Southeast Asia, okay, who fled from Maoist China. They settled in Malaysia, Thailand, Bangkok, etc. And they are hated by the local Buddhists because they are so much better at every skilled job, every education, in any field. Chinese always do better. In Africa, okay, African politicians have always been saying that we hate Indians and Chinese because they are so much better at our job. India में ऐसा नहीं है. Why? Because we don't have any pro majority policy. All our policies are pro minority, which is why they keep sucking at their jobs and we keep improving at our job. तो अगर कोई हिंदू डिक्टेटर आके ये बोल दिया कि आई एम डूइंग अ ग्रेट थिंग फॉर हिंदूज, आई एम मेकिंग 80% रिजर्वेशन फॉर हिंदूज फॉर एवरी जॉब, तुम समझो कि काम हो गया हिंदू का. Hindus will stop being skilled at anything. But more importantly, because he's a dictator and because he's a Hindu ethos wala dictator, you can't even say anything to him, and he will be the death knell of India. Vinay Singh is saying bad Mamta came into power. Look at Bengal now. Yes, and imagine if Mamta Banerjee is already basically a dictator. She's a great Hindu Durga Bhakt. Subramaniam Swami का कोट है, she is a very good Hindu Durga Bhakt and she is even Brahmin. पावर में आके क्या उखाड़ लिया. ये डिक्टेटर बनती तो क्या करते. और ये अगर डिक्टेटर बनने से पहले तुम बोलते कि ये तो हिंदू नहीं है, ये प्रॉपरली हिंदू नहीं है, हाउ वुड यू प्रूव इट? She would prove to you that yes, she is a great Hindu leader. She could have easily fooled you by that, by words and by her actions. You will never be able to judge who is a really sensible Hindu dictator. तो छोड़ो डिक्टेटरशिप का काम. हमारा गवर्नमेंट ऐसा होना चाहिए कि अगर अगर मोहम्मद जुबैर भी प्राइम मिनिस्टर बन गया तब भी हिंदूज प्रोटेक्टेड रहे. दैट शुड बी द कोर इथोस एंड द स्ट्रेंथ ऑफ द सिस्टम. Not we should not depend even upon Yogi Adityanath coming to power. The Khaksar intervention and the final denouement. अब we are in the last sub chapter of the paper. अब देखो क्या मजा होता है यहाँ पे. खक्सर नाम का एक ग्रुप आके क्या क्या अजीब चीजें करता है. Okay. Action matters. Yes, action matters after becoming the dictator. No, dictator बनने के बाद action क्या कर रहा है तुम, तब उसको तुम नहीं बोल पाओगे अच्छा अच्छा आपका dictatorship हमें नहीं पसंद आया, now please stop being a dictator. गया काम से तब. You are never going to understand his intentions before coming to power. The Shia-Sunni conflict and the Muslim League's failure to resolve the dispute created a vacuum in the Muslim political leadership which aspiring contenders were attracted to fill. अब मुस्लिम लीग का जगह सबको चाहिए. It led to an active intervention by the Khaksar party, led by the mercurial अल्लामा मशरकी. ये अल्लामा मशरकी भाई के साथ क्या क्या होता है ये सिर्फ देखते जाओ, बड़ा मजेदार है ये जगह. The dispute was seen by Mashraki as an opportunity to build up his standing as an important Muslim leader who had ended a fratricidal कॉन्फ्लिक्ट अमंग द मुस्लिम्स. ये स्टेटस उसको चाहिए कि मैंने देखो दोनों भाई भतीजा वाला कॉन्फ्लिक्ट भी मैंने खत्म कर दिया. Standing as among the Muslims. The Khaksars, a significant presence in the Punjab, had over the past year been building their organization in many districts of the UP with their headquarters located in Bahraich. They publicized their ideology through their press organ, the Al-Islah. The Khaksars caught the public eye across the UP with their uniforms, their military-style parades through cities and carrying special spades with exaggerated blades known as belchas. Belcha leke procession kar raha hai raste pe. Mashraki was initially anxious to portray himself as someone with whom the government could do business. Telegrams were sent to the UP government offering to help them resolve the issue. मैं help करता हूँ. If the UP government failed, he promised that his Khaksars would forcefully end the problem. Mashraki threatened to assassinate both Shia and Sunni leaders if they did not come to an agreement by a certain date, and justified his plans in terms of the tenets of the Quran. Quran से ही justification निकाल दिया. The Khaksars also openly expressed their disdain for Gandhian non-violence and declared their preference for violence as a political weapon to achieve their goals. अच्छा ये खक्सर्स भी आ गया, मुस्लिम लीग जिसके सामने फीका पड़ रहा है, ठीक है, वायलेंस में. The government's lukewarm response to this offer, to his offer to solve Shia-Sunni problem, failed to amuse the Khaksar leader. Mashraki now declared that the UP government was an enemy of the Muslims and keen to keep the Shia-Sunni dispute alive. He therefore exhorted his Khaksars to fight the UP government with violence. Mashraki next ordered a large contingent of Khaksars from Punjab and a section from Sindh known as Jabaz force to arrive in Lucknow. वो फैंटम वाला हिंदी सीरियल होता था ना, अरण्य देव बोलते थे, वो फैंटम में जो आदमी रोल करता था वो अभी भी तो जिंदा है, वो बहुत सारा रोल्स किया है. उसका नाम है जाबाज खान. वो उस्ताद आमिर खान का बेटा है. जाबाज. The people of Lucknow were then treated to the spectacle of the public flogging of the Lucknow Khaksar leader Wahiuddin Haidar on Mashriki's orders. His crime lay in complying with the उसका crime क्या था? Complying with the Lucknow Deputy Commissioner's orders forbidding the carrying of belchas by the Khaksars. Besides also forbidding a firecracker reception for the Jabaz contingent. ये crime था उसका. This act was in violation of a Khaksar pledge that in case of a conflict between the two orders of a government official and a Khaksar officer, the Khaksar official's orders had to be obeyed by the party members. ये उसने deny कर दिया, उसने ignore कर दिया. In late August, the Khaksar dictator himself arrived in Lucknow and delivered a series of inflammatory speeches at public meetings. Ahrars who raised cries of opposition at these meetings were manhandled away. The editor of an Ahrar newspaper which had published articles criticizing the Khaksars and Mashraki was threatened and a newsboy was beaten up. पेपर वाले को मार दिया, पीट दिया. Khaksar violence at many places in the UP left the government with no option but to arrest Mashraki. This surprised the Khaksar leader who had not expected the government to adopt such a tough posture, especially since it was cautious in dealing with Sunni or Shia. especially because it was conscious in dealing with Sunni or Shia extremists and appeared weak and tired. A deflated Mashriqi began to negotiate with the government and offered to go back to Punjab if it would provide a special train for himself and his khaksars. Ab dekho kya hota hai train mein. The UP government refused, unwilling to elevate his standing through any special measures. उसको बढ़ावा नहीं देना है. Finally, a compromise deal was struck by which the government agreed to buy tickets for the khaksars on a regular train and send them out of the UP. However, on the day of their departure, the khaksars who had boarded the train got off according to a pre-arranged bugle signal. एक वो bugle बजा दिया, उससे वो train में रुक दिया और वहां से निकल गया. Just as it was about to depart from Lucknow railway station. This led to pandemonium at the railway station and caused considerable irritation to the government. The next day, वहां से भाग गया, ठीक है. The next day though, a chastened Mashriqi signed an undertaking to go back to the Punjab with his followers and not to return to Lucknow for a period of 1 year. ये लिख के दे दिया. Mashriqi was therefore released and immediately put on a train for the Punjab. But it was now the mercurial dictator's turn to repeat the antics employed by his followers a few days earlier. At Malihabad, just outside Lucknow, the train's communication cord was pulled to force it to a stop. Mashriqi got off the train and then got into another train bound back towards Lucknow. फिर से same काम किया फिर से. On being informed that he would be rearrested by the police in Lucknow, Mashriqi got off the train. फिर से निकल गया. जो जिस ट्रेन से लखनऊ वापस आ रहा था उस ट्रेन से भी उतर गया. Mashriqi got off the train and set off for the neighboring town of Sandila. सांडिला जगह का नाम है यूपी में, ठीक है. मजे का बात देखो. और ये किसके नाम से है? ऋषि शांडिल्य के नाम से, obviously. There, now it's a Muslim majority area. There he was joined by a party of khaksars from Lucknow and together they travelled without railway tickets to Delhi. From Delhi, Mashriqi started a campaign of abusive vilification of the UP government, stating that he had never signed any undertaking and charged the government with forgery. वो चिट्ठी जो लिखा था उसको भी deny कर दिया. By the middle of September, Mashriqi started again for Lucknow in order to retrieve his reputation that had been tainted by his somewhat inglorious exit on the previous occasion. The train was stopped again at Malihabad, this time by the government authorities, and Mashriqi was warned that he would be arrested. He was given the option of going back to the Punjab, but this was rejected by the Khaksar leader, who was keen on becoming a martyr. उसको अभी martyr बनने का नशा चढ़ गया. He was promptly arrested and sentenced to 1 month's simple imprisonment for causing public disorder. This led to a Khaksar influx into the UP from the Punjab. The Khaksars resorted to considerable violence against the police in resisting arrest in many places and in an incident in Bulandshahr district in western UP. A number of Khaksars were killed by police gunfire. The turn of events attracted considerable support and sympathy for the Khaksars from the UP Muslims. Considerable support for the Khaksars from the UP Muslims. अच्छा, अब UP Muslims Khaksars को support करने लगे. Let me check the comments once. Vinay Singh is saying, I'm skeptical about this government. हाँ, skeptical होना ही चाहिए, तब तो गवर्नमेंट सुधरेगा. डिक्टेटर के बारे में तो तुम skeptical हो भी नहीं पाओगे. That is what I'm saying. You should be skeptical. They are doing wrong things. They are giving more reservation to Muslims. Freebie policy. Exactly. Protest these things. और वैसे भी साइड इफेक्ट तो ये है कि मुस्लिम को जितना तुम रिजर्वेशन दोगे उसका उतना ही उनका स्किल सेट नहीं इंप्रूव करेगा, उतना ही वो लोग पिछड़े रहेंगे. बिना सिंह इज ऑल्सो सेइंग, तो क्या करें, इंटॉलरेट को टॉलरेट करते रहे और खुद खत्म हो जाए. नहीं, खुद खत्म भी मत हो. बजरंग दल ये सब ज्वाइन करो, बनाते रहो, वर्कआउट करते रहो. बंगाल का हाल जैसा हाल तो हर जगह पे नहीं है ना. बंगाल को भूल जाओ. आई एम सेइंग दैट इट्स टू लेट फॉर अस, सेव योरसेल्फ. बट डिक्टेटरशिप लाओगे तो इससे भी बदतर चीजें होगा. अभिनाग इज सेइंग, दीज खक्सर्स एक्सप्लॉइटेड ड्यूरिंग बंगाल फैमिन. अच्छा, these people trafficked so many Hindu girls from Bengal to the kothas of Lahore and Rawalpindi and even Kabul after buying them from their parents. अच्छा, I didn't know this. Khaksars were mostly Punjabi Muslims. I see. ये लोग अभी खालिस्तानी बन के घूमते फिरते होंगे. अच्छा, a forceful repression of Khaksars by the UP government and imprisonment of Mashriqi, combined with the eccentric and inconsistent efforts by the Khaksars, now opened a window of opportunity for the Muslim League to reassert itself in UP Muslim politics. The Muslim League tried to ride on the wave of Muslim resentment against government of repression. अच्छा, Muslims किस लिए गुस्सा थे? क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट ने खक्सर से खराब तरीके से बिहेव किया. इसका एडवांटेज मुस्लिम लीग आगे आके ले लिया, और दैट्स हाउ दे गेन some credence and let's say I'm blanking out on the words because I'm so excited about this, but anyway उसका थोड़ा इंटेग्रिटी रेस्पेक्टेबल जगह पे पहुंच गया फिर से. The Muslim League tried to ride on the wave of Muslim resentment against government repression. Eminent UP Muslim League figures such as Sir Ziauddin Ahmad, Vice Chancellor of Aligarh Muslim University, interceded on Mashriqi's behalf with the UP government. The Muslim League क्या इतना significant चीज है देखो. अलीगढ़ मुस्लिम लीग, अलीगढ़ मुस्लिम यूनिवर्सिटी का वाइस चांसलर मशरकी जैसे एक रैंडम गुंडा उसके बिहाफ पे गवर्नमेंट से बात करने बैठ जा रहा है. द मुस्लिम लीग लेजिस्लेचर पार्टी डिमांडेड मशरकी's रिलीज फ्रॉम प्रिजन. ये देखो, दिस इज व्हाई जेसाई दीपक सेज दैट टेक केयर ऑफ पीपल हु स्टैंड अप फॉर यू ऑन द ग्राउंड. मुस्लिम लीग इज cashing in on Mashraqi's nuisance, the nuisance that created by Mashraqi, उसके ऊपर कैपिटलाइज मुस्लिम लीग कर रहा है. बोला कि ये तो अब हमारा आदमी है. दैट्स व्हाई आई एम सेइंग दैट जो कोई भी दिखे, ट्राई टू क्लेम एज मेनी एज पीपल एज पॉसिबल. सबको बोल दो ये हमारा आदमी है. टेक अवे एवरी आइडल फ्रॉम एवरीवन. देयर इज अ चैनल कॉल्ड सनातन बांग्ला व्हिच हैड गिवन मी दिस इंफॉर्मेशन. आई सी. ये सनातन बांग्ला क्या बांग्लादेशी चैनल है? ओके. खक्सर. At this juncture, visited a Khaksar camp. Acha. The Muslim League legislature party demanded Mashraqi's release from prison and expressed sympathy with the Khaksars on the floor of the UP assembly. Jinnah, along with Liaquat Ali Khan, visited a Khaksar camp in Delhi to express Muslim League sympathies with their movement and condemned the repression unleashed upon them. At this juncture, the onset of World War II in Europe transformed the political landscape in India. Shortly afterwards, in late October, Congress ministries all over India resigned in protest against India being dragged into the war by Britain without the consent of the Indians themselves. The crisis was a tremendous blessing on the Muslim League and could not have come at a more appropriate time. The Congress High Command now sought unity between different political groups in India in order to present a joint Indian response to the British government. Keen to get the Muslims on board, the Congress turned again to Jinnah. The Khaksar issue in the UP was a major point of discussion in the meetings between Nehru and Jinnah. Jinnah demanded and was supplied with relevant documents relating to the Khaksars by Rafi Kidwai, the Home Minister in the UP government. Nehru seemed hopeful of a joint Congress Muslim League front after what he considered were extremely fruitful talks with Jinnah over several hours in late November. However, the Muslim League leader surprised the Congress with his call to the Muslims of the minority provinces. ये देखो, ये नाम फिर से यूज हो रहा है, minority provinces, to celebrate a day of deliverance on 22nd December 1939. It could be argued that one of the reasons for Jinnah's call was his attempt at again rallying the Qawm in the Muslim League's putative bastion in the UP, racked as it had been by internecine Shia Sunni conflict over the past several months. अच्छा, अब इसका solution मिल गया. The day of deliverance, however, passed off uneventfully in the UP. Nehru reported to Gandhi that Deliverance Day was a failure in UP. Many of the meetings started off in a very small way, but then curious sightseers, chiefly Hindus, joined them to find out what was happening. Some meetings were also held on that day in mosques and outside condemning the Muslim League proposal. This is Nehru saying, so पता नहीं कितना सच है कि नहीं. The new governor of the UP, Sir Maurice Hallett, concurred with this judgment as he wrote to the Viceroy. I do not think that Deliverance Day, of which many reasonable Muslims disapproved, was as great a success as would appear from newspaper accounts. Some collectors report little enthusiasm in most districts. Meetings were smaller than expected. Up conclusion. While the period of Congress rule in UP witnessed an impressive growth of the Muslim League as a party with the ability to harness rising Muslim resentment against the provincial Congress government, the party struggled to assert its control over Muslim politics in the face of sectarian tensions within the community. The Muslim League, therefore, still had a task ahead in terms of politically mobilizing the UP Muslims by the time the Congress governments had resigned. It is due to these existing tensions within the Muslim community that the idea of Pakistan became so central to the politics of the Muslim League after 1940. Right. It is due to these existing tensions within the Muslim League community that the idea of Pakistan became so central to the politics of the Muslim League after 1940. क्योंकि अब तो उनके पास और कोई एक्सक्यूज नहीं बचा कि किस बेसिस पे हम मुस्लिम्स को यूनाइट करें. तो बोलते थे कि अरे भाई एक देश बनेगा, चलो चलो चलो. That becomes their rallying point. They did not have a rallying point. What I'm talking about, Hindu Bengalis, ये rallying point बनाने के लिए पाकिस्तान बनाया गया. The idea of Pakistan छेड़ दिया गया. The Muslim League effectively played up the fear of disunity in the Qawm and presented Pakistan as a symbol of Muslim unity in its campaigns throughout India in order to damp down underlying tensions within the Muslim community. Pakistan was supposed to be the bandage over the wound of the Muslim community being disunited. समझ रहे हो? This is the value of this paper. Dhulipala is discovering here with his research that the Muslim community was never united. It's not united now. Pakistan was supposed to be the band-aid, and it can again break down any moment if they come to power or something. तब ये सब चीज़ फिर से बाहर आ जाएगा. This tactic was certainly effective in the UP. The Shia Sunni problem in the UP persisted through the 1940s, but henceforth was confined to the city of Lucknow. क्योंकि अब तो distraction है, पाकिस्तान जाना है, पाकिस्तान बनाना है. It did not become an all-India issue as was feared in some quarters during the latter half of 1939. यहाँ पे हमारा पेपर खत्म हुआ. Let me check some comments again. अच्छा सनातन बांग्ला, अच्छा सनातन बांग्ला इंडियन चैनल, अच्छा ऐसा चैनल है यूट्यूब में, अच्छा बात है. कहाँ का है, कोलकाता है कि कहाँ का है? करीमपुर हिंदू न्यूज़लेटर इज ऑल्सो अ गुड चैनल एंड हैज अ गुड वीडियो ऑन कोलकाता किलिंग्स 1946. अच्छा, Britishers must have been really enjoying all this drama. Yes. Harsh Ravi, where is it mentioned that Gandhi gave 55 crore to Pakistan? 55 crore कहाँ? 550 crore तो. That's what I've heard. वल्लभ भाई पटेल तो खुद बोल रहे थे उस स्पीच में. पता नहीं कहाँ पे बोला गया. Okay guys, so that was a fun paper. We realized that Pakistan was a great band-aid created to unite the Muslim community, and Muslim League did not have any weapons left. उनका डिस्कोर्स सब टूट चुका था, सब खत्म हो गया था because of the Shia Sunni conflict. ये यूनाइट करने के नाम पे पाकिस्तान बनाया गया और आज पाकिस्तान का ये हालत है. तो फेक यूनिटी भी गलत है. भैया, even though I have zero hopes but still asking, since Pakistan is almost about to collapse, is there any chance that it will again become a part of India? I don't see how. उनका लोगों को कहाँ भेजोगे? लोग तो वहीं पे रहेंगे. लोगों को निकाल के टर्की में भेज दोगे, ऐसा तो नहीं हो पाएगा. ठीक है, उसके लिए बहुत सारा ह्यूमन एट्रोसिटीज करना पड़ेगा. और फिर कुछ लोग जो कि सच में निर्दोष हैं, उन लोगों पे बहुत भारी अत्याचार करना पड़ेगा. इससे अच्छा है उन लोगों को खुद अत्याचारित होने दो, पाकिस्तान में बैठ के समझने दो कि कैसा लग रहा है भाई. अदरवाइज इट्स गोइंग टू बी द सेम थिंग दैट वो लोग अकाउंटेबल नहीं रहेंगे. तो और नहीं तो जैसा दीपक का सोल्यूशन है कि हाँ रिक्लेम करना है करो, पैलेस्टाइन जैसा ऑक्यूपाइड स्पेस बना के रख दो, गाजा जैसा. खुद का आर्मी वर्मी पुलिस कुछ नहीं होगा, सब दिल्ली से जाएगा. एक यूनियन टेरिटरी होगा, गवर्नर प्रेसिडेंट रूल करेगा, फंडामेंटल राइट्स भी नहीं रहेगा. यू विल बी सेकंड क्लास सिटीजन्स. अभी तो सबको लगता है ना ये सेकंड क्लास सिटीजन है, वो सेकंड क्लास सिटीजन है. ये एक्चुअली सेकंड क्लास सिटीजन होगा. दे वोंट हैव राइट्स टू ओन फायर आर्म्स, दे वोंट हैव राइट्स टू जॉइनिंग द आर्मी, they won't have rights to their own police, they won't be employed in the police. It will be a police state, and they will have to study in the schools recommended, and they won't have the right to make their own associations or join in processions etc. join peaceful community gathering कुछ नहीं होगा वहाँ पे. पूरा एक police state बना के रखना होगा वहाँ पे. Stories of Bengal Hindus is also a good channel. It's based in USA. I see. घर वापसी only option after feeding them pork is the only solution. हाँ, घर वापसी करने से वायलेंट नेचर नहीं चला जाएगा. सुबह तक सोच रहा था कि हिंदू को मारेंगे, अब थ्रेट में आके हिंदू बन गया खुद, वो उसका मारना नहीं बंद होगा, वो अलतकैया हो जाएगा. Okay guys, so from tomorrow I'll start the Manusmriti live streams again, if unless some again emergency work comes up, or I'm doing live streams and we'll discuss Manusmriti. So thanks a lot for joining in the middle of the night. Good night guys, it was a great discussion today. Good night.